Action.
Attention. Let's go. Let's roll. Well, I guess we're just going to go ahead and start, babe, okay? You all set? This is on?
Yeah, right there's a good place for it.
I'm sorry?
I thought it would be good up there.
Yeah, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I won't put it up there. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do that?
32
No, not these. With Tina.
No.
All that?
Or was it like this?
I don't remember. Here goes. I'll try it. Ready? Three, two, one, go.
Your recording has started.
Greetings, family. Welcome to another one of your Frank 26 UB-Tubies. It's good to be with you once again. I greet you in agape love. Before we do anything, we are a Christian-based organization. We are KTFA, Keep the Faith Always in our Heavenly Father. I would invite you to recite the following with me, because Jesus Christ in the gospel taught us how to pray. And he said, pray in this manner. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us. Oh, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. 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 I pray that everybody's in good health. I pray that you're in good spirits. And I pray that you are here with us tonight to study mainly the Iraqi dinar, but also maybe to study some geopolitical events. Now, I'm not here to be political. If anything, I want to be as close to Jesus-like as possible. And Jesus smiled a lot, I'm sure, because I don't think there was really a negative bone in his body. And I call upon the Holy Spirit to guide me and you in our thoughts, in our study tonight. Your UB-Tubi tonight, which happens to be the 1st of June, 2020, will be trifurcated into 3 parts. The first part is mine. I want to talk to you. After all these years that we've been together, we've developed a relationship, have we not? And if you don't know anything about me, my name is Frank. And on the internet, I go by Frank 26. A lot of people have asked, why 26? Well, when I was asked to lead on a forum to talk about our investment, the Iraqi dinar, I said I would do so under a Christian-based umbrella. Notice, base and umbrella, from top to bottom. And 26, without knowing about it, was the number because I was conceived on the 26th of a specific month. I wore 26 in my years of athletic competition. And if you take the reciprocal of 0.26, I didn't even know it. But back then, that was the rumor that was going around that maybe the Iraqi dinar may, one day might reinstate itself back at 386. That was quite a coincidence, to be honest with you. But today, actually yesterday, I come to find out that Frank 26 means something else. And I'll share that with you in a minute. The other part of our conference call for tonight is the study of our investment. Now, I also need to make it very clear: we don't offer you a rate. We don't offer you a date. We offer you a very comprehensive study. Yes, we throw in our opinion. It's our God-given right. But we back it up with a lot of information, data, empirical data, in order for you to make a proper decision. And if you're a member of our forum, the name of our forum is ktfalways.com. I'd encourage you to be a member. It's free. And there is a thread in there. It's called Final Articles. It would behoove you to go to this thread, because it's a compilation, a chronology, in fact. It goes way back many years. And it lays a roadmap for you very clearly of what the Central Bank of Iraq and what we here at KTFA call the Fab Four. What's that? The IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, United States Treasury, and the President of the United States of America. We were the ones that went into Iraq, just like we did in Kuwait, to remove it of Saddam, to remove it of tyranny, to remove it of Iranian influence, and to teach them how to be dependent on their own government, their own military, but most of all, their own currency. The President of the United States of America is trying to teach all these countries, you have to play fair with your currency and ours. He's doing a really good job of it, in my opinion, in Iraq. And when you go to the final article thread, you're going to see the evolution of what's been happening with the monetary reform to reinstate the Iraqi dinar to its true value, so that the country of Iraq can get up on its own feet and be a leader in the Middle East and not be terrorized by Iran, that has been a bully. Not the people of Iran. They're beautiful people. Their customs, their food, they're beautiful people. But just like the people in Iraq, they were kidnapped by Iranian supreme elite leaders that use a religious cause to cause terrorism, to put the fear in an individual so that they can dominate them. President Trump does not agree with that, and I'm sure that most of you don't either. But there is a part of the United States of America that is very left, very social, very communistic, that encourages that wants that, not only in the Middle East, but in the United States of America as well. We, Americans, on our own soil, are in a war against this type of tyranny, this type of attitude, this type of false god, this type of evil that in all honesty simply wants to kill human beings and dominate the earth for their purpose. I don't even know what it is. it's so radical that they would perform phagocytosis on themselves if there was no one left. So the second part of our conference call tonight, we will be bringing in what we call the three. Now, as you know, the three consisted of Delta, M&M, and Angel One. If you remember our form, you now know that Angel One handed in his resignation because, well, for personal reasons, mainly because he has children that, as a single father, he needs to be more responsible for, and we salute him. You saw him come in our forum and tell you all he's still with us, he loves us, but the pressure that is put on him is tremendous. The pressure that is put on me, according to the doctors, they say I have cancer now. I disagree, but we'll find out. So we also are proud to announce the introduction of the replacement for Angel One. And I'm sure you'll be very proud when you hear this gentleman and his astute manner, not only of conversation, but of analysis, of conclusion. And we have, we protect all of our team members. We have christened our new member for the three, as we call them. We have christened this new member with a name that I would like to present to you, and that I would ask you to pray for. Our new member from this point onward will be known as Petra. Petra. It is a Greek word for the word rock. Petra, M&M, and Delta will be with you in the second half of our production tonight. And I'm very, very proud of them. I protect my teams, and you know that, don't you? I ask you to respect my teams. I ask you to respect Petra in the same manner that you hold the highest respects for Walking Stick. Okay? As you know, I'm suffering from, they call it bladder cancer. I don't claim it, but so be it. And I have to constantly hydrate myself. So please forgive me if you see me, it's water, by the way. It's water, okay? So constantly have to hydrate. I have a tendency to get very dry in my mouth. And on top of that, I have to do with one of my doctors told me I have to drink celery juice. It turns out that there's a salt in celery that fights cancer. I don't have it. I don't claim it. But I humor my doctors. So doctors, well, that's so good. And I wash it down with a little tomato juice.
In your Star Wars cup.
In my Star Wars cup, yeah. I mean, I figure I like Bloody Marys. I might as well pretend, you know. And the third part of our conference call tonight is tomorrow. I will be going to the Cleveland Clinic for my second trip. They're going to talk to me about chemotherapy. When they told me that, I said, really? Yeah, 3 months, and then another 3 months to rebuild your immune system. And then we have a major operation for 6 months. You're gonna end up with 6 tubes running out of your body, and it'll take 2 months before you get out of the hospital. TMI, too much information. I really didn't want to know that. I was just curious. Chemo? Yeah. You're going to introduce me to a Hawaiian friend of mine? I know chemo on the Big Island of Hawaii. Yeah. No, not that chemo. K-I-M-O. No, it's a different chemo. Oh, okay. And in the third part of our conference call, we're also going to be continuing the introduction of our missionaries. As you know, we now have on the map in back of us, the world map, we have missionaries in India. We have missionaries in Hawaii. And I'll be glad to talk to you about our third missionary tonight. So there is your program for tonight. Let's get started. I suppose that the hot topic that's out there right now is all these riots in all these cities. It's sad. It's very sad. And I'm not here to be political. I'm here to be logical. We are Americans. We're not animals. And yet, even an animal knows not to soil his own home. I mean, that's where he lives. I can't believe that. Look at you. As I was saying, in fact, you know what? Let me turn this off. Fascinating, isn't it? Hold on. As I was saying, we are Americans. We're not animals. And even animals know not to soil their own home. That's where they live. That's a secure place. That's where their family's at. It seems to me that the riots that we're seeing on television, the goal is simply to destroy the United States of America, to destroy the innocence of the Americans that are being blamed for all of this in many cities. But most of all, to blame the President of the United States of America. I wish that the mayor, what was it, in Minnesota where it all started, I believe it was? I mean, I wish that the mayor of that city in Minnesota, I wish that he would have done something quickly. Instead, he backed away and he let these people go crazy. What people? The citizens of Milwaukee, the citizens in the great state of Minnesota? No. These animals that are being brought into our cities. I call them animals because no human being would do what they're doing right now to other human beings. No. I believe that these creatures are simply possessed with demons. And I'm sad that the leadership, the political leadership that is against Donald Trump is doing nothing about it on purpose to a degree. I mean, I'm not being political. I'm being obvious. I can stand on top of a mountain and look down at all of this and say to myself, that's obvious. And so can you. They should have, they let the police department be run over. Oh, by the way, it started in Minneapolis, didn't it? My apologies. You see, I really don't pay attention to the details. What I do is I fall on my knees and I pray to God, because you see, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. What am I going to do? Go out in the streets and stop this nonsense? No. But I can pray to God. And I believe that the more prayers that are sent to our Heavenly Father, oh, the stronger that God looks at the situation. And in His own time, He will remove these demons. I wish that these political people would call the National Guard. I mean, it's over. But there seems to be a purpose. There seems to be an agenda. And like a forest fire with just a little spark that started it, that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. The police department was overtaken. The mayor didn't do anything about it. And my goodness, like a rabid dog, oh, they foamed at the mouth. Well, this is easy. And these radical groups, I'm not going to name them. We all know who they are. The radical billionaire that is funding them. We all know who it is. You don't need for me to tell you. They saw an opportunity, a crack. And boy, did they crawl through it. And you see it on television. I saw one, I think it was even on Fox News. That surprised me. Wow. Tell the truth, Fox. For once. Well, no, they're okay. I mean, I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but we also know what's going on with the media, don't we? Yeah. But all these groups, these terrorist organizations, the moment that George Floyd was tragically killed by an over-abusive police officer, I mean, that doesn't represent all of our police officers, our firemen, our military. Of course not. And justice will be served. And the people had the right to protest. Of course. Of course. Martin Luther King would have walked with you. Rose would have gotten out of the bus and walked with you. John F. Kennedy would have probably walked with you. But the moment that those three would have seen what the far leftist radical groups are doing, they would have wiped their tears away and they would have walked away from the obvious. And they would have depended on the mayors, governors, to do what's right. But they haven't. President Trump has literally begged them. And it makes me sad, to be honest with you. I don't watch that television stuff. I don't like seeing human beings suffer. That's not the goal of the life of a human being that was made in the image of God, to destroy another image of God. No. But I just wish that there wasn't any politics involved in this, but there is. When the far leftists, the socialists, the communists that live in the United States of America, that live around the world, saw this crack, the vulnerability, and saw that the far left in the United States were doing what they were doing, they jumped on the bandwagon. They arrived in buses. You saw it in the news. I saw one bus driver that refused to give them a ride. That was cool. These anti-fascist groups, we have to pray. We can't pick up a stick. We can't pick up a sword and cut their ears off. That's just not the way to do it. It's too barbaric. When China saw what was going on, in my opinion, they sent their fascist groups. They did it. They sent them to Hong Kong. They were all dressed in black. Oh yeah, covert virus. No, you wear a certain color. You wear a certain color. But the blood of Jesus Christ covers that darkness, doesn't it? And you know it. As much as you don't want to admit it. What you're doing is wrong. And I'm not here to fight you. I've seen this too much. When I was a little boy, I think I was 12 years old. Or 11, I can't remember. But I was watching television. And it was called the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Oh, you Democrats. But I'm not here to be political. But you just don't learn, do you? And it was a gigantic riot. It killed a lot of people. I remember the following day, my father took me and my mother up to Detroit, Michigan, to see what the protesters, well, you know, what the terrorists did. Not the people of Detroit. Not the people of all these great cities in the United States right now that are being terrorized. And my father drove, from block to block, and he says, this is as bad as the days when I was in Korea. And, and it's interesting, my dad was there after they dropped after the bomb in Japan. He was there in Japan too. And he says, it looks the same. This is an anti-American wave, Americans. China sends their terrorists to Hong Kong, and they sent them to the United States of America too. The socialists, the socialist Democrats, the communists, the far left, the billionaire that can afford it to fund this type and claims it proudly to fund this type of terrorism against you Americans. You have to pray about this. You just have to pray about this. I told you I've seen too much of this. In our study, did I not tell you that the same concept of evil, the same demons that are terrorizing Iran, they sent in a bunch of thugs to Iraq. The Iraqi citizens were out there very nicely protesting, we want value to our currency, we want economic reforms. Okay. Huh? This is an opportunity for us to dominate even more. And they sent in busloads. Remember I told you? They camped, literally camped on the streets and the sidewalks. Woke up the next day on time to punch in. What are you doing? We're paid $35 a day to cause terror in Iraq. And they were killing Iraqis. It is sad. And it causes you and I to have problems. What I mean by that is it doesn't really matter what I say on my form. There's always that one demon. And there was one. He called me up and he says, I can't believe that you're such a fascist. You're a bigot. You're against black people. I'm a minority. What are you talking about? When did I ever say that? Well, the way you're talking about, what's going on in the cities. Well, first of all, I haven't said anything. Except that an animal does not soil his own home. These people are not doing this in their cities. Someone else, something else is doing it. And we all know what it is. And they're not ashamed of it. They're proud of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a war in America's soil that is being soiled by the demons that serve the false god of this world. No, I am not a bigot. No, I am not against any color. But the demons cause you to think that, don't they? No, I did not say the words that you're accusing me of. Boy, those demons are doing a good job on you, aren't they? Mission accomplished, sir. I mean, that's what they say in hell. My goodness, these demons have started the moment that President Trump wanted to run for presidency. They created lies. And 3 years later, you now have all the reports, don't you? It was all a bunch of lies. Wasn't it, Schiffler? Wasn't it Nancy? Wasn't it Hillary? Wasn't it Obama? Yeah. In history, we'll know it. They may not admit it, they may not write it, but they know it. You know the obvious, don't you? These out-of-state thugs that are being brought in, we need to pray. And it's sad. May I suggest neighborhoods that are being destroyed? And don't fight against them. Pray. Hold massive prayer sessions in a park in a neighborhood. Gather hundreds of you and fall to your knees and pray to God. Can you imagine if you get God's attention? May I suggest that you get together and because you see the old people, there ain't no CVS's anymore. There ain't no drugstores anymore. It's not like you guys did it. You know who did it. I saw on the television where there was one that was being recorded, and then this guy was just walking, breaking. What are you doing? And what I find interesting is that the far left were the ones that started to destroy Donald Trump before he ran. Then they tried to destroy him with the fake impeachment. And then they started to bring in this C-19 virus stuff. And now these riots. May I suggest, get together. All you strong men, all you strong women of these cities, get together, form yourselves in groups, and subdivide all over the place. Make them rescue centers, and get food, get water, get clothing, get shelter, get medicine that your elderly need. Help your communities. I'm not saying to go and try to get them out there. Let the National Guard, if they called them, let the police, if there's any of them left, do their job, and you do your job. Give unto Caesar what belongs to him. Throw it at him. But give unto God what belongs to him. The souls of your neighbors, your brothers and sisters. Yesterday I made a post on our forum and I said, our investment, the Iraqi dinar in Iraq, they were going to open the Iraqi stock exchange today on the 1st. They were going to set their cabinet, their government, open it today on the 1st. Or I should say they were going to have the vote. No, they delayed it for a week. And I said, it is associated to our investment. And right away, just one out of the tens of thousands of members that we have makes a post and he says, no, I don't think so. No, it has nothing to do with it. Oh, ye of little knowledge. Let me show you something. Go to Google. Google. Don't get me started. Twitter. You twit. Don't even get me started. They're using every tool against the President of the United States of America. That's our commander-in-chief, for crying out loud. We're blessed to have this man. I remember the days of Ronald Reagan. He used to use comedy and jokes and satire and told Gorbachev, bring that wall down. Yeah, but anyways, you can look this up. Iran, elite supreme leaders, not the people of Iran themselves, but the thugs of these of this malicious force that rules, the country of Iran. They're actually going out there with signs saying, "Murderer Donald Trump, murderers of killing George Floyd. Oh, bad America, boo, hiss." Really? Get that big piece of a splint out of your eye, dude, so you can see yourself in the mirror. But you think that you think that the powers to be would even allow this investment that we're involved in right now to move forward? How about if we postpone it for a week? Oh, they did. Oh, but it has nothing to do with our investment, Frank. Go get your own forum. Go to another forum. Bye-bye. Democrats aren't saying anything about, hey, what? 6 feet apart, protesters. Put your masks on. Yeah, the hypocrisy of what's happening in these riots. I mean, what happened to the pandemic BS? So when one form of terrorism doesn't work, they jump to the next one. By the way, remember I told you about OAN? I really like OAN. That's the One American News Network. There's another one called Newsmax. If you're not familiar with it, look it up. Thank God for places like this. Yeah, sometimes Fox is even, 50-50 decent in their report. But the rest, like our president says, it's fake news. Because they have an agenda. The same agenda that you're seeing in these terrorists that are trying to destroy the United States of America. Do you think that Donald Trump is trying to do that? It's amazing the man hasn't had a heart attack yet. He doesn't stand down to anybody. He barks. He says what you and I as Americans want to say to evil. And do to evil. The protesters, wanted to honor the tragic death of George Floyd. And you're going to get justice. You're going to get what belongs to you. But what these terrorists are doing, that's not honoring. To burn down our country and to make things worse on the American citizen, that's not the way to do it. So, again, I encourage you in these cities, get together and try to form prayer groups, massive prayer groups. You don't have to walk down the street. Stay in one area. Have your strong men and women surround you. Tell the police to come and surround you while you guys pray. As I promise you, prayer is much greater than the darkness that we're seeing. The light of Jesus Christ will blind them and vaporize them. Don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Because those are also the tactics of these terrorists. The tactics of Satan. And as far as I'm concerned, Satan, you can go to hell. We need God in this country. In God we trust. But yet for 8 years, we were made to look ashamed if we even thought about that. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Wow, that was stripped from us. A full-term baby crying that you normally kiss and bring into the world, they murder them legally. You see, these are souls coming into the earth for what reason? To worship God. Oh, no, says the Antichrist. You don't do that. Therefore, we kill them before they come into the world. I see. You hypocrites. You vipers. And you know who you are. Anyways, be careful with CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, MS, NBC. Be careful. If I was you, I would boycott them. I would stay away from them. Don't poison your mind. It's the same mantra over and over and over and over and over again. Black men and women, brown men and women, Latinos, Hispanics, Asians. You need a leader. The last one you blacks had was what? Black men and women with Martin Luther King. I can't even think of an Asian leader. As far as Latins go, my name is Frank 26. But I'm a champion of all people. For there is no Jew, there is no Gentile. There's only the beautiful creation, the children of God. We need God at a moment like this. That is the greatest weapon, and that is the greatest fear of those that are terrorizing our country, let alone the world. I've got 10 minutes before we bring in the three. And I suppose that I have made my point. What do you think? I suppose that I've made my point. And very quickly, with your permission, this coronavirus, yeah, you see, the problem is that it was invented by someone in China with the financial support of the last regime that lasted 8 years. Oh, you can look it up. Obama sent billions and billions of dollars to Iran so that they could have nuclear power. Not for the people of Iraq, but for this terrorist regime. Donald Trump says, that's the end of that. Thank you. Thank God. China, the vice president before with Obama, what was his name? Oh, Biden. He was their yes man. Look it up. Billions of deals like out of this world that did nothing, that stole from us Americans. Yeah, it is tragic what's going on, and the fact that we don't have a virus for it. I'm sorry, a vaccine or a medicine of something for it. That's what's scaring everybody. But you see, this this separating us, anti-socializing stuff. Stay away. It's stupid. The mask. That's stupid. Now, if you lost somebody, I can also show you somebody that lost somebody from the influenza A virus, the common cold, the flu. You know what? Over 200,000 people die every year in hospitals from taking the wrong medication. Where's the protesting for that? Pharmacies. Yeah, so the hypocrisy, I mean, it's obvious. I told you, I'm not here to be political. I'm here to be obvious. It's sad, but it's very obvious. And the only answer is prayer. So far in the United States, we've had, about 100,000, over 100,000 people that have died? That's sad. And it shouldn't have happened. But it was the agenda of the far leftists. And it's obvious. And the media fueled it. And it's obvious. One channel, it's really hot. The other channel, it's really cold. Well, that's obvious. There's quite a difference, in the temperature there. Thousands died from the flu. Why not have separation and masks and the whole gear for the common cold? Where was Obama in 8 years, where hundreds and hundreds of thousands in his 8 year died of just the common flu? Why no protesting for the swine flu? All the flus that occurred when Obama was president. Turn the air conditioner on. There's no vaccines then, huh? No protesting. Yeah, it's obvious, the agenda. And I'm very pleased that the President of the United States said to the WHO, bye-bye. China barely pays any funds, any contributions, while we pay millions upon millions. That's not fair, is it? The President of the United States is making America great by removing the obvious. That is very stupid. In my opinion, God sent Donald Trump to remove or to reverse a lot of bad relationships that were very corrosive to you, American citizens. Look how quickly we had records set. Minorities, you were getting jobs left and right, weren't you? But the demons of this concept, this theory, this wave that's going across the United States are so bitter about it. How can you helping human beings? No, that's not our goal. Yeah, we know it's very obvious. There's a lot of things here I'd like to say, but I'm not going to say them. I went to God in prayer. You see me constantly going in prayer. To try to control myself. But the media is rabid and drunken. They're sick on showing the blood and finding every way possible to blame Donald Trump. No. Every year there's injustice and discrimination of minorities. That's just the way the demons separate us from God, from God's glory. We have to go to war against this, not in a physical way, but in a spiritual way. I encourage you, pray. I encourage you, get massive groups in these cities, pray. That would scare the hell out of these demons. Demons are parasites of human beings that lose their minds with common sense thinking. We need to socialize. We need to take these masks off. Oh, for our economy, Frank? Yeah, for one. We don't do it for the common cold. It kills more people. And if you lost someone of the common cold or of the C-19 virus, I'm sorry. God bless you. But you know where they've been dying. It's obvious. Old folks' homes. What? Out of sight, out of mind. You know they've been exaggerating and lying about the numbers. What's up, New York? It's obvious. We need to socialize. You know what for? To create antigens. Since the beginning of mankind, when God put us on this earth, when we started to pollute the earth, the history of mankind forever has developed its own immune system to fight these things, to fight infections. Our immune system needs this in order to constantly be able to do this at the macrophage of our T cells so that they can develop. We need cross-contamination. We must not suppress the natural defense system of our own bodies. And that's what we're doing. Sure, there was going to be a rebound because of what we're doing. Stupid. We're not challenging our immune system. We're putting it in a vulnerable position where it can't fight itself back when it decides to come back. And the vaccines? No. No, that's not for me. I've never taken a flu shot. That's another subject, isn't it? But again, I'm not here for that. Our white blood cells need to grow in our bodies. And I pray that that soon we get back to normalcy. And if you want the vaccine, that's up to you. But I also pray that you are not misled any longer. And I pray that you pray, because that's the best solution for this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 o'clock. In fact, it's a couple of minutes after. And I apologize that I'm about 2 minutes over. But it's now time to bring in the three. If you belong, like I told you at the beginning, to our forum at ktfalways.com, may I encourage you, go to the final article thread. Right now, Delta, M&M, and we proudly introduce Petra. They're going to give you their opinion. They're going to give you their opinion on what Walking Stick and I have shared with them. And the title of our UBTube tonight is Iraq Television Talks. As I'm sure as you remember in your notes, we told you there would be a trickling of information down to the citizens. They're talking to the citizens on television about the exchange rating adding value to their currency, and Delta's going to give you that report. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the three gentlemen. Are you there? Eminem?
I am here.
I hear you, Eminem. I tell you what, Tink, how do we do this? Dial this. What we're going to do right now, family, is I'm going to switch this over to this phone so that we can connect it to a speaker so you can hear a little louder. But let me bring them in. I heard Eminem. Delta, are you there, sir? Delta, God willing, will join us soon. And let's see, Petra, are you there, sir?
I'm here.
Greetings, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. We're going to switch over, gentlemen, so give me just like 30 more seconds, and hopefully by then Delta will also catch up with you. Ladies and gentlemen, one more thing before I bow out for the next hour or hour and a half, whatever time they want to talk to you. I would like to say something on a one-to-one basis as I look into the camera. Before I do, let me connect the speaker. Alrighty, we are connected. Eminem, say something.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening.
Roger, I hear you. Hold on, sir. Before, Tink, get Delta on your phone and tell him, please. Huh?
I can't.
Oh, that's right. Oh, my. We don't have the third phone. Oh, okay. Delta will be with us in a minute, though. But before I do, let me look at the camera and say something for 30 seconds. Sir, if you're watching or any of your staff is watching, KTFA supports you 100%, respects you, and will do everything possible to support, because we are proud Americans, and we're very proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, with that said, Eminem and Petra. Petra, are you there, Petra?
I'm here.
There
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. There you are. I'd like to introduce all of you to our new member of our three that analyzed. Petra, I want to welcome you, sir. Welcome with open arms, and thank you, sir, for being a part of our teams.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I pale in comparison to Eminem and Delta, but I hope I can add a little bit of analysis to what we're studying, and I look forward to participating.
Oh, I know you will. Eminem, I'm going to turn it over to you when you are done, and Delta will join you in a minute, I hope. Let me know. Enjoy it, gentlemen. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Hey, Patrick, what a wonderful time to meet you and chat with you this evening. It's I know that you and I have had communications over and over, in chat, so to speak, if that's the place to be. But it's been an honor to be able to talk to you, because we have some good fun, and I think what we talk about helps a lot of people follow along because of this this time frame that we're in. It seems to be kind of a crucial time, and I think that we help people go the extra mile and stay positive. And it's not always easy for people to stay positive during times where they have hardships. And even today, I happened to witness a member of KTFA threw in the towel, and I just felt bad. I felt compelled to send him a private message and told him to hang in there because this is a special time that we're in right now. But not everybody sees that. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you, and hopefully we can get through this.
Yeah, I got you. I've been listening for quite a while. Haven't participated that much, but I'll tell you one thing that seems to be going over in my mind. If I could take a few minutes, if you don't mind. I enjoy studying. I really do. It's a major part of my life and looking at things and looking at things differently. And Frank basically took my initial introduction away, because what he talked about, the final threads. I mean, he also mentioned our wonderful President Trump. You know, there's another great president that I watched growing up, and that's President Ronald Reagan, which I believe Frank also mentioned earlier. And he made a comment, and he said, the greatest answer to all of man's problems is located in the Bible. And I've always remembered that. And for KTFA, our Bible, essentially, from a research perspective, is the final article thread. And I spent 1 hour today going through the final articles. And it's really interesting, the parallels of what we discuss. At the same time, the time sequencing is very strategic. And if I could encourage anybody at KTFA that has questions, when's this happening? What's going on? What's happening? Folks, I'll tell you, it's all there. For instance, if you just start at page 7, post 122. That was presented back in August 20th of 2019. That's the first time they mentioned currency, changing the currency value. As you go through post 123, 124, September 4th is post 125. And you work your way down, and all of a sudden, from December 9th, post 127, we've got about 5 articles, and all of a sudden, we're in March of 2020. So you got to wonder what's going on, what's happening. You know, we've talked for quite a long time about it, but then all of a sudden, in March 2020, we got post 132. You work your way down, all of a sudden, post 140, we're in May. So from May 13th all the way down to May 31st, we've got 15 articles. 15 articles. And prior to that, a year and a half prior to that, we had about 8 or 9 final articles. So clearly, to me, there is a change going on in the process, in the activity with the Iraqi dinar. And I would behoove everybody to just look at page 7 and 8 and read those articles. Spend an hour and read them. And all of a sudden, things will start being clear. The brain fog will go away. And to me, just from a research perspective, it sure tells a lot. And even the post that was posted yesterday from Al Nasai about deepening the relationships between Iraq and Saudi Arabia. To me, those are all very, very critical articles, and it's all culminating to what we're seeing right now, and that is the imminent change of the Iraqi dinar. To me, it's just very clear, and I think it's a good topic for discussion as far as timing. I know everybody wants a date and a rate, and that's not why we're here. But if you study it and look at it from a macro perspective, to me, it's indicative of an imminent change.
Very well done. Yeah. No, you're good. You're doing transcribers. No, you're doing good, because we're waiting for Delta to show up to give us his report, and he said he was coming. So, but you know, one thing is,
gentlemen, greetings, gentlemen.
There he is. Did you get your socks, my friend?
Yeah, you got your socks on. Greetings, sir. Actually, we'd have to call you, I guess, Petra, right? That's the new name?
That's my name. Yes, it is.
That's the name, sir. It's greeting. It's an honor to have you with us. And we appreciate your time and helping out. It looks like I have an echo. Can someone mute their phones? It looks like there's an echo coming up. Can you hear it?
Mine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because when I'm talking, there's like an echo coming out from my speaking there.
Is that better, Delta? Is that better?
That's better, sir. Yes, sir. Frankie, nice to see you. Nice to hear you. Nice to we're gonna blow everybody's socks today. I just went to Target and I did buy 2 big boxes full of socks, man.
Well, you know what? That's funny you say that. Let me for those that are looking on the camera, you guys keep talking. I'm going to show them my bare feet.
Yeah, show them that. That's just amazing. So, family, greeting everybody, greeting family. Before we start, basically the conference call, as usual, I would like to inform you that whatever we're saying today, everything is in our opinion. We don't provide you a date. We don't provide you a rate. We just basically give you the information based on Iraqi news, Iraqi channels, and everything basically based on the time frame. That's the only thing we can give you there. And of course, we got a message to you guys from Angel One. By the way, Angel One, he's good, but he has to take care of his, his family. So he's going to be, he's not going to be with us on those Monday CCs. But he basically sent a message and greeting all of you, and we're going to go from there. So as you know, family, all of us basically, I know that, like Petra said, everybody basically waiting for the date or the rate, and of course, none of us knows the exact date or exactly the rate, even though we're really careless about the rate, because as soon as they, let those 3 zeros, you're going to be well enough after that. But today we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. Since we left you last time, family, a lot of changes, a lot of stuff did happen. So first of all, I'm gonna open it by asking Brent, which is Eminem. I'm sorry. I'm gonna ask him about the article that came up. I think it was last week, talking about the July 1st. That the first day is gonna basically have the new electronic system in Iraqi borders, and they're going to have a new financial, basically accounting system that they're going to start collecting revenue to the government. Eminence, can you please explain to the family about that article, and then we can ask our guest too about it and see what he thinks. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, there's been so many articles that are out lately that I've been going over, so it's kind of tough for me to remember specifically which one it was, but I do remember it. I did come across it, and it is talking about the when ships come into port, they commercial shipping, they have payments they got to deal with, and they said that they were going to have that system ready to go by July. Well, in mining, for instance, if you're shipping, let's say you're in the Gulf of Mexico or off the coast of, Southern California, off of Tijuana, they have an iron mine. They ship that iron to China. It takes a couple weeks, and when it gets there, they got to test it. They got to do all these things, but they have a rate that they would, or an agreed weight measures, etc. Around that time when the ship leaves, but it's not cleared until well after the fact. That's kind of what I believe that they're talking about here, is that the ships coming into the ports in Basra, etc., are loaded with contractable materials, whether it's clothing, food stuffs, or whatever. So it seems to me that they would have to have that sorted out, and that's what they're saying, is that they would adjust that. And to my thinking is by July 1st. Well, if they can adjust that by July 1st, they're going to have those numbers to equate to what they're going to have at the end of that time frame. So to me, that was a really powerful article and gives us the idea that there's going to be an adjustment, and it's going to be for an international purpose change, which is it's going to be a change, and it's going to be all about trade. So all those ships that you're seeing that they're talking about pulling into port as early as of today, they're going to have to offload and have their contract sorted. So I think that was a very bullish aspect of that article.
And that's great analyze. Our dear guest, Perez, what do you think? What do you think about this subject? Probably you saw that article too. What do you think, in your opinion, they're talking about there? And just explain to the family. And then when you're done, let me know, so I'll give them my interpretation to that and what exactly they mean. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my perspective is, first of all, before that ship ever leaves port to heading towards its destination, there is a contract. And that contract is negotiated in current terms. And there is a performance clause in every contract, so that when that product arrives, they'll be paid in X period of days. That's called a performance contract. Very standard in any type of transaction. So I'm curious if there's any variability in that contract of a prevailing rate verbiage. Again, this is just a guess. I don't know for sure, but typically in contracts like that, there is a negotiated rate, there's a negotiated performance clause, and there's also a variable or a waiver in those contracts for adjustments to currency exchange rates. That's typically the verbiage in any international contracting activity. So I think there's two pieces to that. I agree with Eminem 100%. I just am curious. I would love to see one of those contracts before they left the port to see what it said. But yeah, no, I agree. I think there's definitely gains afoot on that, and I can guarantee you that they're not going to offload that cargo until they know payment's guaranteed.
Now that's great, and that's a great analyze. See, what's going on is we did talk about this, I believe, a while back. For those that followed us, Frankie and I, a while back, they had the system already set up on Iraqi borders, which is, they go by the coding, which is that belong to the World Trade Organization. Every nation in the world, they go by that coding. For example, you drop down a shipment, and let's say the shipment, you got tomatoes, you got cans, whatever you got there, you got socks, whatever you got, you have to be basically able to, when you scan it, it's not going to tell you, for example, tomatoes or the product. It's going to give you the code numbers. Now, that code numbers, automatically it's programmed in the software. They're going to know, for example, as tomatoes, for example, right? So what's going to happen is when they do that, they will calculate that currency. Let's say, for example, you got that shipment from the U.S. and the amount was in dollars, right? But when you come to that country, as soon as Iraqi port scan that barcode or whatever you're going to call it, right away the system is going to calculate it to the IQT. And they're going to include the taxes with it. Like it's not going to go in the U.S., you go to Walmart, you go shopping, wherever you go, you have the taxes, which is whatever the 8 1/4 or 8%, it depends on the state that you are in. So the system automatically calculates that for you. This is very close to the same concept. But see, what's going on is that Iraqi dinars has to be tradable, recognizable internationally in order for you to be able to do that. See, a long time ago, they were about to do that, and they talked about them joining the World Trade Organization. But, you cannot join them unless, of course, the currency has to be tradable. You have to be Article 8. But for them to tell us that July 1st is going to be the first day they're going to implement a new financial accounting system, this is by itself, in our opinion, of course, is very huge and is very telling, because if they're going to implement the coding that I'm talking about here, which is that's what the World Trade Organization's members do, then that gives you an indication that we have to have an exchange rate, meaning the true rate, not the program rate, and they have to be Article 8 before they implement that. And they give about a month to everybody, and based on that article, they're telling everybody, every entity that they're in charge to basically get ready, because July 1st is going to be the first day to do that. So in our opinion, there's a very high possibility that we might see the rates before that. Logic said. Of course, if something happens, God forbid, or not, then you're going to see probably that date move or postpone for a week or 2 weeks after July 1st. But it looks like this is what basically they're trying to shoot for here. I believe really it's a very huge one. Great analyzed gentlemen. I really like that. And I believe the family understand that right now, that in order for you to get any kind of customer, any kind of turf, because, see, before everything was done manually, that's why you had corruption in Iraq. But see, you have a shipment there, and let's say the shipment, it's worth, let's say, $10,000 or whatever it is. That's about $10 million, for example, right? Then what happened, the gentleman or the guy that he was in charge of the borders, because they're corrupted, let's say you have to charge this guy about $2,000 or $3,000 taxes, which is $3 million. What he do is he just get like a $500 or $1,000 under the table, and he will let that basically truck go on inside. So that's why when you put the electronic system in with the new rates, of course, and then being Article 8, it's going to be very hard to do any kind of corruptions, and they're going to generate more money. And just to give you a roughly figure there, by them doing basically electronically and go that, the government, they're going to generate an additional $5 to $6 billion a year. So right now they're making less and less of that because the average taxes right now is about 10% on Iraq. So if you have this kind of shipment the whole year, Iraq right now they're losing a lot of money. So this is one of the revenues that the government is going to have. But of course, you have to do everything electronically, and it has to be linked internationally, and that require what the Article 8 and Article 8, of course, required the new true exchange rate that is going to be set internationally for Iraq and will be approved by the IMF with 85% part of voting with the IMF. So I hope that Nick explained that clearly to the family, and they will understand that. Now the next topic we're going to move in, which is we're talking a lot about it. M&M's explained to the family about the Iraqi stock exchange. I know you have a lot of stuff there, and by the way, the family appreciates you a lot, and all of us appreciate you because your analyze is just amazing. You just break it down to the family, and I noticed for the last 3-4 weeks, you just come into the forum, breaking down things. It's just amazing, making everybody happy. Really appreciate what you're doing, and we do believe you are the best at what you do, which is you are the best analyzer at KTFA, my brother. So go ahead, brother, and explain to the family what do you think about the ISX and them shutting down, and what, in our opinion, we think. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for the compliments. I appreciate that very much, and I just do what I do just because that's where I do it. I enjoy actually going in and looking at things and saying, whoa, something in this particular article just rings a bell and shows patterns, and that's how I like to look at it. I just break things down. If I see consistencies, I go after it. And one of the consistencies we're seeing with the ISX is that they've changed the CVI site recently, and they haven't changed it back. And they've adjusted the CVI site to show that the ISX index is about 1,000 times higher than it was in the past. And they haven't changed that. And we've talked about this before, but just to rehash, they have like a color coding system on the CVI's website, and colors mean things. New is kind of red, blue can mean change, and black is, to me, is in stone. And at this stage of the game, them adjusting the numbers from February 2020, they put that in stone and haven't changed it. And they modified that, I believe it was in April 13th, real close. So anyway, the stock exchange had been trading at a program rate still 3 days a week. They showed us that they were going to change that to 5 days a week. And then a little bit later, they muddied the waters, and they came back and said, no, we're going to go from a 5-day trading period to a 3-day trading period. And they're like, well, you've never done that before. So the fake news, and back to Dr. Shabibi, back in 2012, he said that one of the things he uttered under his breath was propaganda. So it looks like that they're using it in full force, and I think we witnessed it again today. But nonetheless, back to the stock exchanges, that being that they changed those numbers, I don't think that's going to change. I think what they're trying to do is they're going to reflect that here in the future, in the near future, and that has been postponed. It was supposed to be back up and running for that 5-day period as of yesterday. They didn't do that. They postponed it for the COVID or something to that effect. Something along those lines for the pandemic that we're going through in the United States, well, in the world, I guess. So they put it off till Sunday of next week. Well, if they have that in stone, it's likely that they won't come back at a program rate. Could they wait a little longer after this next weekend because we don't have what they need? Possibly. They could do that because we obviously see that they did it this time around. But in theory, if they're going to go into the secondary market like Missionary has talked about, and we see that the government is finally talking about the 2019 budget, the 2019 Financial Management Law Act
Exactly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but
that's not accurate. It's amendment. I'm thinking United States. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, they haven't talked. They haven't shown that to us yet. But they talked about it, and they said that they were going to try to get that out in forefront. But in the same article, they talk about going to the secondary market. And the secondary market is where they can buy and trade stocks, bonds, currencies, etc. But that's one of the things that they talk about, what you touched on, Delta, was these commercial shipping needs to have an exchange rate to deal with the contracts, like Petra said. Those contracts are in upfront. I'm not going to ship you a whole bunch of cars or toys or copper or whatever, steel for that matter, to without knowing or negotiating some sort of a price before the ship leaves the port. Same thing with the borders taxes. They're going to have a rate exchange for those borders to click over. And we know that they have software they only talked about it not terribly recently, but within the last few months, they mentioned that we're set with the blockchain type system, which is totally transparent. And rightfully so, the taxes and tariffs will equate to what I believe is the oil revenue at $60 a barrel. That when we're not at that place right now, I think oil is somewhere around $36. I think Basra Light was around $38. But there again, it's not $60. But so the taxes and tariffs at the borders are another source of revenue to pull these guys out of a crisis. And then so that is where they're headed. So with the stock exchange is the same thing. That they need to get the rate to be able to get to the international level of the stock exchange. We all know that there's rules and regulations when it comes to the NASDAQ. The pairing of the NASDAQ and the ISX is said to have been talked about for years now. Today, what do we see? We saw that the stock exchange initiates another video. Maybe it's old, but they did it again today to show and reassure people that this is where we're headed with an electronic system. So everything's coming to a head to get to a point where that they are going to trade and interlink, and then tie in one more aspect, not just with the ISX, but you got to remember all the mining outfits out there in the world, they all have shares that they trade on stock markets. So if you've got the United States of America, you got Great Britain, you got Jamaica, you got odd Jamaica, I bring that up later, but the point is all these countries coming around, Germany, the Dutch, everybody's coming into Iraq now because why? I think because of the USNC meeting back in May kind of set the stage for forgive me if it was May 6th or if it was prior to that, but anyway, they did do this to gear up, and everything started going into progression. The country started showing up. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the Gulf, then even Russia and others, etc. They just started piling in to do what? To do business, reconstruction. So you see that theme. ISX is going to be about reconstruction because all the banks are going to be doing business with all the companies that are going to be doing the gold rush, if you will. All the merchants and the mercantiles will come in and start feeding all this employment that'll be derived from all these things. So that gears up to what? Everybody wants to go into the stock market. So if you know that they're going to go build new brick buildings or new steel structures and new, convenience stores for that matter, takes all these materials. Hence, the mining is perfect for them to come in. And why did I bring up Jamaica? Jamaica has a lot of the same materials as Iraq does in the ground, so they have expertise in mining. And therefore, they could come in and help facilitate the reconstruction of Mosul. Just as were the Italians. What are they doing over there? Well, there's water. All mines need water. Well, not all of them, but I mean, a lot of them have a washing component for the minerals to get clean. So all these things, if you can see them coming together, well, most of those companies would probably be on the stock exchange. And so they're going to need that transparency. And that blockchain will come in to probably all different aspects of all of these things and will help facilitate trade, stock exchange, and back to the rules. Stock exchange, NASDAQ has rules, and it's not at a program rate. It's international. And so for Saudi Arabia, for instance, we've known, Delta, that you had conversations with the bank in Saudi Arabia and wondering, when are you going to open? And the answer was when they raise the value effectively. And again, they're back and they're talking about it. So therefore, we know that they're really doing that. Okay.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about this file actually after this, but that was very great. Basically, comments on the ISX Petros, any comments on the ISX, sir?
Petra, are you there, sir?
Sorry, guys. I was on mute. I was busy ordering socks for Frank. That's
a good one. That's a good one, Pedro.
Anyway, a quick comment, a couple of them. One is the fact that, if you look at the timing, again, going back to the final articles, if you look at the timing of that UN Security Council meeting that you just mentioned, Militiaman, everything went on fire after that meeting. And then this past week, we saw articles saying that the Council of Ministers were not going to meet for the week because of the pandemic curfew. And then all of a sudden, the U.S. comes out and says, hey, we're going to be there on the 10th. What happened 2 articles later? Okay, guys, we're meeting on Tuesday, or we're meeting on Wednesday. So all of a sudden, that whole issue of the curfew goes away, and the focus and the aggressiveness of the schedule changed because Daddy's showing up. So that's a very important piece of this timing sequence. As to the ISX, Militiaman and Delta, I find it very interesting too that they're delaying this per the COVID curfew. What a great cover! But if you look at the fact that everything's going to be electronic, historically, Delta, and correct me if I'm wrong, everything I see that comes out is always in a written format. It's always put down in writing. Correct? It's all written. But what this process does is it makes it electronic. Everything is electronic, which means it's traceable. It's trackable.
Yes.
There is accountability. There is structure. This is what the international community is asking for. We know you guys have a very poor reputation when it comes to integrity. Well, we're going to demand integrity. That's what we're asking for. Because if we're going to put our money in there, we're putting money into these markets, putting money into your country to build and to expand the opportunities within your country, we want accountability. And so I think exactly what you're saying, Militiaman, as they move forward through the process and they become electronic, where it's trackable, it's accountable, I think that's a key part of the growth and the requirement other countries are asking from the international market.
And that's a great analyze too, and by the way, Angelo One, we would like to thank him because he's the one he did send us a link basically to this the CEO of Iraqi Stock Exchange, which is Taha Hussein. This is the guy that he's talking about. He was talking, and the videos was basically less than a month old, but the information was really very great. I give you indication that everything's going electronically. And by the way, for those that remember us a long time ago too, the ISX was supposed to go, you remember, international NASDAQ like 5-6 years ago. Every year they used to say, this is the year, this is the year. But they're waiting, of course, for the Central Bank of Iraq. We all believe that the ISX is linked internationally. Everything is done there. But remember, inside the country, the dinar is the dinar. But you cannot go international with your program rate. There's no country that they trade internationally and their stocks under Article 14. It's not going to happen. Your currency has to be tradable. And by the way, if you remember, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, was Frankie and I, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I told you that there was basically a press conference between the ISX CEO and another economist, and then there's people calling basically and asking questions. And one of the questions was really very interesting, which is that answer everybody's questions and confirmed to us that we're 100% correct. She asked him, well, how come we cannot trade ISX internationally? And it was a very easy answer, and he said, the CEO of the ISX, he said, because of our currency. And right there he said it. He said, like, we cannot trade international because, everybody knows you have to be tradable. So everything basically linked to reinstatement of the Iraqi dinars and then Article 8 and move forward. But the ISX is really very interesting because, like I said, even if you have a pandemic and you got a curfew, but you deal everything electronically inside Iraq. So you don't have to stop or postpone that for 1 week. You already had, you had it off for 3, 4, 5 weeks. So there's definitely something that's up there. Now remember, the dinar is the dinar inside the country. But when you go international and you're linked for that part, you cannot go with a program rate. And then I'd like to basically give you this information that was basically a long time ago. We used to have Dr. Jabr Zubaydi. He used to be one of the foreign, former finance minister. He did have one time an interview, and they asked him about the Iraqi stock exchange. He said our stock exchange is really way, way below average. It should be at least 10, 20, or 30 times of the prices. Meaning, if you see right now, let's say a price of $1 dinar, that it should be 20 or 30 dinars. And remember, family, last time I gave you my opinion, of course, about the Iraqi stock exchange, and I gave you just a small example that how the government of Iraq, they can get a lot of revenue. And I give you an example of Iraqi stock exchange. And I give you an example that to $1,000 investment, in my opinion, of course, you can turn it to about, $60 to $70 million from now to 10 years. Yes, I mean, it's very hard to believe, right? But this is how that works. I'm going to give you another example for those that didn't miss my information from last time. So they can solve the whole problem in Iraq, like in 1 month. We all know, like when you go to the stock exchange and you deal with a lot of money, you can inject at least $100 billion in Iraq a month. It's very easy, and they'll solve the whole problem by them just going international. How that works? Let me repeat that one more time for those that didn't miss our conference last time. Let's say, for example, right now you can buy 1 million share at Baghdad, for example, Baghdad Bank, or any of those, let's say, offshore bank, for example, international bank. Right now the prices per share is less than 32 fils. But let's say it's $1 dinar. You buy 1 million share right there. It costs you about $1,000, right? Now, what's going to happen? Let's assume, for example, that price goes up to $3 or 1 to 1 when the rate says the currency. Just for example, all right. So now what's going to happen when you increase that bank? If you compare the banking in Iraq, and by the way, we have been told that we have a confirmation that the system right now in Iraq is one of the sophisticated in the world. So when they go there, and let's say give them 2-3 months, they're not going to stay at $1 dinar per share, right? So let's say if you average what's the minimum shares in the U.S., let's say, I'm not sure, it could be Wells Fargo, it could be Bank of America, but they're about, $20, $27? So if you compare that to, let's say, this bank that you bought in, now, with the next year or 2 years, because you're going to have a lot of demand on the Iraqi stock exchange after the restatement. So now what's going to happen is the million shares that you got of that bank is going to turn to about about $27 million. Right? If they're going to go up, let's say, in value. The value is going to change. It's not going to stay at $1 dinar per share. Eventually, it's going to go high, and this is what Iraq are they talking about. So now what's going to happen is now your $1 million or $1 million dinars is going to turn to $27 million, right? And now in the long run, let's say if they reinstate the Iraqi dinar like it used to be before, over $3, now your $1,000 investment, right, is going to turn to about $90 million from now to 5 to 10 years. This is just a small example. So if we know this, just keep in mind there's so many investors. This is what they're waiting for. And this is another revenue for the nation of Iraq, for the government of Iraq. Remember, they need like $120 billion the whole year for their budget. But I'm telling you right now, and you're going to mark my word, and they know that too, when they reinstate their currency and they go international and the IQD become tradable, recognizable internationally, and they accept Article 8 after the IMF announced that, you're going to see investors turning 180 degrees. From Europe, from the U.S., most of them, they're going to turn their back and go to Iraq and invest billions and billions of dollars. And that is going to be very huge revenue for the nation of Iraq. And right now, as I know, there's, when they open, like Waraka Bank, I believe a while back, there's more than 10,000, right now, there's more than 10,000 American investors in Iraq. But of course, they have stock. I know even people, they have like $100 billion worth of shares. I mean, a lot of my friends that I know that. So just imagine when you go international in the long range and you're going to see people investing billions and billions of dollars, then what's going to happen? The shares has to go up no matter what. They're not going to go international at $1 per share. That's not going to happen. But the one that they invested already, they're going to do that. But remember, for the people that they have dinars already, it's going to be easy for you because you already have dinars. You can convert your dinars to dollars and then open accounts with one of the brokerage in Iraq and buy the stock. But for those rich people that, let's say, they never even heard about Iraq now, but they heard about it, what are they going to do? They have to convert $1 million, for example, to get the $1 million. And this is the difference between us that invested in the IQD and for those that did not invest. Your IQD will be IQD. You're not going to cost you that much money. But those people they're going to buy, guess what? Now you have to invest that. Like right now, I know some brokerage in Iraq. In order for you to open an account, you have to have right now a minimum of $100,000. So just imagine what's going to happen when they go international. So hopefully this family explains to you one of the basically part that they can make more money besides the port and the customs. You got now the Iraqi stock exchange. You're going to have people injecting billions and billions of dollars that Iraq, they're not going to believe what's happening there. They don't even have to borrow anymore. The only things they need to do is they need to reinstate, look to 3 zeros. By the way, the IMF told them a long time ago they will assist them and they'll take them internationally and they're going to allow them to get Article 8 if you lift the 3 zeros and put the customs, etc. So the 1190 or the 1200 Iraqi dinars to the US dollars is not going to work. It's not going to cut it. That's only to put the plan on them when they have the sanctions. They have that stipulations on them that in order for you to go international, you have to come up a minimum at 83 cents. Without it, you cannot go international. You are not going to allow it to get Article 8. So hopefully this will give you some idea, family, that what could happen just by them lifting the 3 zeros. So now we're going to move to the next final M&M and our dear guest, veterans. We're going to talk about Al-Nasiri article that you talk about, Iraq opening to Saudi Arabia and the banking. Can you please, M&M, let's start with you, buddy, and explain to the family your opinion about that basically file.
Well, yeah, basically he's looking at strengthening, the relationship between Iraq and Saudi Arabia. And it's all about encouraging investment and bringing in companies for investments and for the reconstruction. You can't imagine, like what you were just saying, as far as the stock exchange is a revenue stream, but also the next revenue stream is going to be rebuilding all the materials, back to the mining. All that stuff is part of the process, and that's what they're looking to do, because infrastructure is got to be intense in many of the regions from unfortunately from the destruction from ISIS, etc. And their banking technology, like you said, they've gotten that together, and they needed to have that organized. And Saudi Arabia, they're talking about increasing their interbank transactions. So the interbank transactions are meaning that these guys are going to be interconnected. I mean, they're going to actually have a flow of money, foreign currency, between each other. And that's going to go for other countries as well, because they're not going to be on a MCP circumstance. They're going to have to use a dinar in country. Just like we in the United States of America, we use the dollar. We don't accept Canadian coins. We don't accept Canadian bills, nor do we use the euro. So it's going to be the same. They're going to have to do a conversion. And when they make conversions for currencies, there's a buy and spread. There's money to be made. There's taxes to be paid. So it's a revenue stream. And being that they're close partners, and the interesting thing here is that we have noticed a relationship which was very curious, is that the government of the United States said that they would extend some sanction relief, if you will, between Iraq and Iran for the 120 days for electricity. Well, I guess our administration, Pompeo, came back and said, nope, we cut that off, and now we're going to do our energy sources are going to be from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Primarily, I guess it's in Saudi Arabia. So yes, with all these things coming in, the United States wanting to get effectively in the future Iraq to energy independence, and the encouragement through Saudi Arabia, the investment from them, and the cooperation is actually phenomenal. And they're actually, talking about opening branches from the Saudi banks in Saudi Arabia and Iraqi branches in Saudi Arabia, vice versa. I'm sorry to say, Iraq branches into Saudi branches into Iraq. So, yeah, it really does have a huge contribution to Iraq's effort going forward.
And that's great. Analyze, Petra, my sir. Do you have any comment on that, sir?
No, I think Militiaman kind of nailed it on the head. That's exactly what it is. The whole interbank transactions, cross-country transactions, requires an international rate. I mean, it's right there in print. In fact, it's the last final article number 158, going back to our introduction about the final articles. It's all there. It's all there in sequence. Can I take a step back for a second? We talked about that July 1st date as far as the implementation of the shipping and the taxes on the shipping activities. The country is going to be going through a huge change when they make this reinstatement of the IQD. And in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, there's got to be some time to educate the citizens, to do some final education of the citizens, and of course, ongoing education after the fact. But to immediately do such a huge change on July 1st that will impact shipping, banking, all those things to occur in one day is going to be somewhat challenging. And I also think that the government of Iraq, I hope they would want to be fair to the Iraqi citizens who have paid a very heavy price for the benefit of the country, that they get some time to think about investing, some time to think about putting money back to their country. To my understanding, there's still a lot of money in mattresses that could go to their benefit, but they need to understand how to use it wisely. And so I believe that they've got to come out with that rate sooner rather than later, just by the mere fact to give their citizens time to adjust and learn how to change. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I think Militiaman did a great job in that final article.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great, Petros. And I do believe what he's saying here, because it's Eminem's and I, we talk all the time with Frankie and everybody, and I give them to my opinion that the nation of Iraq, they need at least a month to adjust, because the Central Bank of Iraq, they're going to have a hard time even after the reinstatement, because now they're going to have another job to do, which is defining and clarifying to the citizen, because a lot of them, they're going to be confused. This is not that easy, moving from, let's say, 1,200 dollars, for example, to, let's say, 1-to-1, and then you have to explain to everybody, and you're going to have confusion. So their job really not going to be easy. They're going to take them a while to do that. So that's why we do believe, for the accounting purposes, and even that article, they're telling you right there, they're telling every entity that they're involved in that accounting to basically get ready, and they have 1 month until July 1st to get ready for it. So that gives indication that there's something big has to take place. And I do agree with you, in my opinion, too, in our opinion, that we should see the rate way before July 1st. In our opinion, if that is the case, if they're really going to implement the new accounting system in their ports. So this is really great, confirmation. But let me just comment real quick about the Saudi Arabia and Iraqi banks. The Trade Bank of Iraq was the only bank, the Iraqi bank, that they opened branch in Saudi Arabia. This was about 2.5 years ago, I believe, sometime in 2018. And then they opened the branch there, and we all know that there is no country can give you the license to operate there if you're not Article 8. And if, for example, you go any bank in the U.S., for example, you have to be an article. The nation that they're going to open a bank in the U.S., for example, or in Saudi Arabia, you have to be Article 8. You cannot be Article 14. So what happened is, when the Trade Bank of Iraq opened the branch in Saudi Arabia, and by the way, there's a branch and banking branch. The plan was at that time to reinstate it around that time, but things could happen. Plan changes, they moved everything out. So they opened the branch, and we noticed that they keep moving that date. And by the way, I had a contact with them. I had email them and talk to them. And one time I asked him, when you guys going to be operational in Saudi Arabia? The TBI, they came back to me and they said, oh, very soon we're going to do it. And then a bit delay, and then I sent them another email, and they sent me back an answer, said, oh, very soon. And I then asked them, why is it delay? They answered me back, oh, we have some technical issues. Now, technical issue for over 3 years or 2.5 years, that doesn't make sense at all. We know exactly what that means. So what we did is we went to the Saudi Arabia, the Federal Reserve, or the Central Bank of Saudi Arabia, and we looked at all the banking that they got the license. There were some new banks that didn't get the license yet, but the TPI was one of them. But what I had noticed was you can do that too, do your own research if you want to get more confirmation. When I went there, I saw branches from so many countries that they have branches in Saudi Arabia, but all of them they have one thing in common, and that is Article 8, except TPI. TPI they are not. So now just think about it. You go to Saudi Arabia, you open the branch, you spend a lot of money, and by the way, they open like a location. It's like a mall or shopping place. You pay a lot of, very expensive to pay rent for over 2.5 years. And you're waiting for what? You're waiting only for one thing. So we do believe that the technical issue is and was the Article 8. But we all know, just to explain to you real quick, Iraq, they cannot be allowed, and they'll never be allowed to get Article 8 in the IMF. They will never announce that. And by the way, when the country gets Article 8, the IMF will announce it, like they did to Vietnam, not the country. So what's going to happen is, Iraq, they have to lift the 3 zeros from the exchange rate and phase out the 3-0 notes. Now, we all know when the time is right and they make the announcement, the 3-0 notes, they're going to coexist with the lower denomination that they will introduce. And that could take up to 10 years like they told us. But you're not going to see them exactly like the U.S. did a long time ago. With those of you who remember $1,000, I believe it was like $100,000, something like that, even $1 million a long time ago, but you don't see them. They're not legal tender, but they phase them out. So unless they do that, you'll never basically be allowed to articulate. So now for the Prime Minister, the new Prime Minister, Al-Kadhimi, to send his envoy and make all these deals, and they're talking about inviting Saudi investors to open, business in Iraq and rebuild Iraq and etc. That's impossible without Article 8 and reinstatement of the currency. So what I'm trying to do here, what I'm trying to make a point, that this Kadhimi, which is the new Prime Minister, if he wasn't ready to go international, he will never make a fool of himself and send his envoy and the new financial minister to Saudi Arabia so they can open business and do trading between the two countries. So that's why, you look here that this is very important, and everything, like all the stuff that I explained to you, from ISX, from the port, from Saudi Arabia, from TBI Bank, everybody and every one of them is waiting for only one thing, lifting the 3 zeros. Not for them to make money for the exchange like us, no, but for them they can get those contracts. They're going to get billions and billions of contracts when they get that. But if you don't have movement of freedom of capital, you will never be able to basically do that.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick of Petrus?
Good.
Hey, did you happen to familiarize yourself with this talk about moving up the SFA agreement from mid-month to the 10th? And there was a nice article about, or a video from Matthew Toller in respect to the SFA agreement. Did you have a chance to go over that? And if you do, can I ask you what you think about it?
No, I didn't get a chance to read about it. I know about it, but it's getting to a point now where, and that's why I think everything's been kind of sped up, in my opinion, is because of this meeting coming up on the 10th.
Yes.
Right. I think that's a huge amount of pressure for 15 minutes. I call him Kazemi, so excuse me, Delta. I don't mean to offend, but I'll call him K. It's just
That's fine.
it's
Speedy
pressure on-
Kazemi.
You have to bite. You have to bite your tongue, Pedro.
Kazemi.
Constantly, just bite your tongue. But make sure no blood coming out, all right?
I think I just spit on my computer. Anyway,
You put Frankie Fox there.
I think that sped everything up because, if you look at some of the final articles, 152, 153, and 154, they're all talking about, using foreign reserves to pay the salaries. Well, that's a no-go. I mean, that's not going to work. So I think with the SFA agreement with the U.S., that's, in force. I think the whole conversation on the 10th is going to be around economics and what are you doing and why haven't you done it and why are we here? We're not coming here to just come, hang out. We're here for a purpose and a reason. And I think that reason is a very serious reason. And that's why I think this change is really soon. Because we talked previously about the education. We've got the electronic, active, the blockchain technology active in all areas of the country. We've got the interbank opportunity transactions that can occur with the interbank mechanisms already set up. We've got the trading mechanisms already established worldwide for, as you have eloquently said, militiamen. Everything is just right there. And so I think this meeting on the 10th is critical. I think it's going to be very interesting. I would love to say that that's a day that we can focus on. Again, we don't talk dates, but to me, there's just a lot of focus going on in the month of June to make this happen. Because as you said, Melissa, July 1 is a very critical date from a shipping, transfer, tax opportunity for the country. So.
I agree with you on that, and I have to say is that the little bits of patterns that I see that they bring up this at this time frame. They brought it up on or around the 31st to the 1st, and we're talking about 30-day contracts, which are really super common. So it's not necessarily cut in stone, but to me that time frame right now represents a very, very positive aspect to that, yes, sooner than later because of the nature of the beast. And I think that you're correct is that the United States is not coming to Iraq to talk about when you think you might get around to this. It's going to be, what do you have for us now? We have all these different people that have already approached you, set all these things up. And you very well eloquently said too, coming in with they have all the mechanisms in place. They have the interbanking, external banking. They didn't do this FIMA process and the currency management law on the same day for no reason. And then we have the TALF circumstances, which is $100 billion at least coming up in days now. So all of these things are, yes, like the final article thread. They're subsequently in lockstep. Boom, 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 boom. And one of the things, just refreshing, I don't want anybody to ever forget, is that I think it's Article 80, 81, maybe 82 on a different page. And there's your model beginning. That's the model beginning. That's not the Turkestan. It's the Turkmenistan model. So I think I correct myself. And the boys across the pond called me on that one. God love those guys. Anyway, going forward though, this time frame going into that meeting is very obvious that it's very important. It's to be taken seriously, and I think Kadimi has hit the ground running, and his expertise, his likability, for lack of better words, in the Gulf region and his neighbors shows he's getting results. The Kurds showing results, all of it converging at the same time is a beautiful time to be in. And I think everybody that's in this investment should, at this stage of the game, do as you said, Petros, to go into those article threads and to look back and focus. All the things that we've talked about, all the things that you're saying tonight, all the things that Delta's been hammering home for us, is that if you go to those article threads, and that's one of the ways I do my research, and you're a research guy, Petros, from what I understand, And when I go back and see what I read from the past, and then I see the progress to where we are today, it really brings the whole full circle. So yes, I think it's a really good idea that everybody at least print the Turkmenistan model, and then remember to get the rest of the stuff into your head, because if it ever happens again, these are the types of things that you have to look for in a model that they're using to facilitate this. You give it to your grandkids, great grandkids, because you never know if that's the model that's used in a fiat system to expand the money supply. We're obviously witnessing it. So thanks. Sorry about that, but I just wanted to get your opinion on that, Petrus, because I think it's an important topic.
No, good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a great one, gentlemen. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to give the family, the big news. It's actually more confirmation to what all of us were waiting for.
Delta.
For those of
Delta.
Yes, sir.
Is it what I think it is you're going to do next? The
Yes.
television. Do you want me to show the video? I'll just hold it up. I won't play because it's in Arabic, right?
Yeah, it's in Arabic. Yeah,
Okay.
you can show the family because I'm about to show them that is in Arabic.
Alrighty.
But
let
what
it go.
family
Let it
Frank
go.
is going to show you right now? It's good now. You show them to them.
I'm going to show it to them. Go ahead. Let them have it.
All right. So basically, family, 3 days ago, actually, there was, everybody knows that I watch the news, I watch Iraqi channels, and speak the language. I mean, that's old news for you, my family, you know that. So 2-3 days ago, I went to chat and I told everybody that, there's information coming up from Iraqi channels that Central Bank of Iraq, they're coming up with the new rates. And the new rate is going to be, based on those information, is going to be basically fixed managed, not the float. It's going to be just managed. And then, there's a sticker we got there. But then last night, one of the financial economists or financial committee of the parliament, his name is Daraji. This guy has been in politics a long time ago, but he's one of the economists, and he's pro revaluations and pro reinstatement. He had about, I believe, about an hour or hour and a half interview with one of the major Iraqi channels. And he did basically, family, it's just amazing, because when I look at it, I did talk to Frank about it today. I did talk with M&M's, with Angel One, and now you're going to hear it. All the stuff that Frankie and I and everybody we talked about here, he's saying it exactly word by word. So I was like, wow, this is just amazing. So basically what's going on? He's saying that this government, the colony government, by the way, they don't have an intention to continue in the long run. Remember, they're going to have elections. So this guy he's just a prime minister for transitional. So he had no benefits for him to basically stall or do anything. So he's there just to finish the job and basically implement everything. So this guy, which is the financial committee of the parliament, he came out and he talked about so many subjects and then how they having issues and everything. He did talk that they're going to do the al-islahat al-maliyah, which is the economic reform and the financial reforms. And basically the reporter asked him, do you think this government is going to do it? He said, yes, this government, he liked it a lot because he never seen someone like that before. What they're trying to do is, he did mention also that they're going to change the exchange rate. And yes, I know some of you, they might ask, did they say that on live TV? Of course they said that. There's no secret anymore that they need to change that. You saw so many articles in the past, for the last 2-3 weeks, just talking about the exchange rate, but most of them, they're talking about devaluation, right? But this guy is not talking about it. He's talking about, for them, what they need to do and what they are going to do. And he said that the government of colony, this time, finally, based on whatever he said, we're going to have someone that is going to implement the financial reforms and the currency reforms, and they're going to have a new exchange rate. And then they're going to shut down and close the auctions, as we know, which is everything was on TV. And then They have some kind of proposal, as some of you probably know that Iraq, they do have retiree outside the country that they're eligible for retirement, but those people, they might be even able to get paid by Iraqi dinars. But this is, I mean, for you, yeah. So for you to do that, so let's say you're an Iraqi citizen and you retire, you live in the country, you live in Canada and the U.S. and you whatever country you're in. Before, what they used to do is they used to send you, let's say, dollars, and dollar convert to your country there. But now they're talking. They have a proposal that even to pay you with IQD. Why they need to do that, family? Because they wanted to keep the hard currency inside Iraq. They don't want those currencies to go out anymore. Now they realize that, wait a minute, we are having a lot of money going outside. Let me give you an example. The Central Bank of Iraq, they used to average about $1 billion a week doing auctions. This is about $4 billion. Now, let me ask you something. Wow. If the IQD was internationally and it was Article 8 recognizable, that means Iraqi government and the CBI, they could have saved those $4 billion inside the country, because now you're going to be able to pay your products and import with IQD. So now this guy, what he said is, I mean, I was just, jumping up and down, and all the stuff that I bought from Target, they were all flying around my house. I was just, wow, this is just unbelievable. And why? It's not something new for us. But I was just so stunned and just shocked, because all the stuff, family, that we told you about. Remember, this guy is like, he was part of the KTFA members. He was talking like Delta. He was talking like Frankie, like Walker Stick, like M&M's, like Angel. I mean, it was just amazing. All the things that we told you, family, for those that they have been with Frankie and I a long time ago. I used to talk about this all the time.
Delta. He tapped
yes, probably this is probably what they do, and believe it or not, family. For those of you that have been with us a long time ago, I'm not exaggerating. We're not trying to be like a show off or something. No, the Central Bank of Iraq, they used to have an old website. Most of you remember that before they upgraded this one that they have now. So one time I was just going around and around it, clicking in and out and everything, and then guess what I saw? I clicked like a link, I'm not sure, from the CBI website, and then boom, they're talking about who? KTFA. Frank 26. So what happened? I'm not exaggerating, family. And so what happened is I was so excited, and at the same time I was, oh, wait a minute. I was like, oh, what's going on here? There's spy behind us. So what's going on? So I had to call Frankie, and so Frankie, what happened? I said, what's going on? The rate changed. I said, no. What happened? I said, man, CBI, they're talking about you. I said, wait, about everybody. I said, no way. Then I showed them the link, and that was the proof there. Basically, I mean, they do watch the social media. They do watch, most of the conference call they're listening to. They know that. But it's very interesting that we used to, for example, suggest something, Frank and I, and then the next day they do the same way. So, I mean, just to give an idea that all of us at the KTFA, believe me, we know more than anybody else. A lot of people, they don't know. And I want to tell you something. Not a lot of people knows what Article 8 is. Nobody knows who's IMF. And I'm telling you, I talked to a couple of people one time. This was a wealth manager for 30 years for Wells Fargo. He didn't even know what Article 8 is. And then I asked the same question that I asked most of you, that nobody knows the answer, except some of us, of course. I asked him, when you go to shopping in the U.S. and you're done, you go to the cashier, right? And you're trying to pay for your product that you bought or whatever. Can you pay in euro? Can you pay in Japanese yen? No, and the answer is no. But why not? Nobody knows the answer, right? Because the U.S. is Article 8, and even the other Article 8 members, guess what? You have the MCP, multiple currency practice, which you can use only one currency. You can do the exchange when you go to the bank, yes, but you cannot do that. So this is what's going to happen in Iraq, family. So it looks like, based on those information we got now, even though, like I told you, this is all in our opinion, but technically it is a fact, because this is what the media is telling us and telling everybody in Iraq right now. The government of Kaldami, they're about to come up with the new exchange rates that to be international, because he knows that the only way to go international. Mr. Kazemi, before he got the nominations,
Yep.
he sat with Adil Allah, which is the proxy of the CBI, 2 weeks before the nominations, and they have a private meeting with him. What do you think Kazemi asked him? Oh, how's your family? How's your dog? How's your cat? No. How's your blue suit? No, because he loved that suit. He didn't ask him that. He asked him all the things that to deal with exchange rate, monetary policy, etc. Where are you at in the process? And we all know, family, based on the video that I brought you in September last year, they're ready. The infrastructure is ready. We got one of the board of directors, the Mohammed Dagher, he's the one that came up with that interview in Iraqi channels. And the reporter asked him, is the infrastructure ready to go? And he said, yes, we are ready, and this is going to be one of the best for us. And he even gave an example, and he said it. He said like $100 is going to become $120 inside the country. So that's a minimum 83 cents. So just to finalize, what are we talking about here? The government now, I believe on Tuesday, sometimes tonight or tomorrow, they're coming up with a package of financial reforms. And we all know, we saw the article about that. And by the way, the curfew is implemented in Iraq, but that is they exclude the CBI and every bank in Iraq. But yet, I'm not sure if you noticed that, but for the last 2 days, there is no auctions of the Central Bank of Iraq.
Yep.
Monday, no auctions. Monday, no auctions. Now, let me ask you, remember a long time ago when they told us, oh, by the way, we have to do the auction because without it, we cannot do any imports. So then how come you're stopping now? You're not doing that. All right? So this is very huge. So now we got from the basically horses now, this is from inside Iraq. He's telling us exactly what the government is going to do. And he said, the reporter asked him, well, Mr. Chairman, or whatever you are in the parliament, you have been in this like for so many years, then why you didn't talk about that before? You know what he said? He said, yes, I tried, but the previous government, like Abdul Mahdi, he was not even willing to listen to us. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, listen again, he said, fortunately, we got now the government, that they got the courage to listen to us, and they're going to implement the financial reforms and the currency reforms, and they're going to change the exchange rate of the IQD, and we're going to be able to basically save the hard currency inside the country. So family, it doesn't get more crystal clear than this. So I'm going to ask now my brother Eminence about this. This is a huge information, and this is just great. And what I'm going to do is, of course, if needed, I'm going to see if I can bring for you that part in Arabic, and then I'll translate that for you. Hopefully sometimes next week if we need that, but just to show you what he's talking about. He's talking in Arabic, but I can translate that for you, and he can hear whatever he's talking about, the exchange rate. And if you have anybody that speaks even the language, he can sit next to you, and he can confirm my translations just to make sure for some, the thing that we're making that up. But this is very huge. Eminence, knock the socks out, brother. Tell the family what you think.
Well, obviously, if these guys are talking to us about changing the exchange rate, it's totally powerful, and we're down to the wire. There's just this article. This guy, well, like you said, the guy was almost like talking like we are. We've been through all this, all the data, all the articles for years now, and we've been able to assimilate and dot the T's, cross the I's, and get it. And so if he's talking about the exchange rate, all the articles in recent times have been talking about all these different options. We have this many, we have that many options. This is what we're not going to do. Alak is saying we're not going to devalue all these things that we have to do, and we're not going to do those. But we do have these things that we can do. We can go to the 2019 Financial Management Law Amendment, and then we can go to the secondary market. And how do we do that? Well, we want to borrow, we want to get bonds, we want to do all these things. But how do we do that? Well, that's what they're saying, is that we increase the value of the Iraqi QD to a level that is internationally acceptable, and you give an example of, let's say, 0.85. Well, that actually translates to a little over $1, which is good, brings in the chunky that Petrus was talking about. There's a lot of money out there on the streets that they haven't pulled out yet. So I'm just trying to correlate all of that together. So if this guy's talking about the exchange rate, we have to change the exchange rate. Well, obviously, they're not going to devalue their currency. They have to give it the value that it deserves. And adding one last little thing, today they snuck in a little article about $500 million from other countries that have been stolen, that they have the right to go to the UN and help facilitate getting it back. They don't need any money, but they still haven't got it yet. So back to the SFA really quick, and this guy's article, it all ties together. That convergence that I'm talking about, have been talking about, you can take this whole big picture and put this painting together, and it's narrowed down to almost like you can pour some oil in your engine. You need some liquidity, and these guys need that liquidity. And to get it in there, you got to have a big kind of a bucket down to a small tube. And once that tube goes in, man, the speed of that oil goes through because of the weight behind it pushing it. That's how I see these guys pushing this right now. That guy from the finance ministry knows what he's talking about, and we all do, because that's why all the countries are showing up. They've already started the process. The process is underway, and what you're saying is that video is just a complete agreement of it, of what we've studied, what we've been sharing with everybody is absolutely coming to fruition, and he's in agreement with it, and they're being so public about it. Petrus talked about the education process. This is that education process. They've been through this education process for years. Those final articles are the education process.
Yes.
I think that we're at a stage now that I think that educational process, yes, it's going to begin because it's going to be new money. It's going to be new currency. It's going to be a different value. It's going to have these things. But ultimately, and the bonds and things of that nature, those things are going to come because not everybody's familiar with trading in the markets. Not everybody's familiar with supporting their own country. These young men and women in Iraq are so young, they need to know that education and be guided as time goes on. So, yes, I think it's fascinating that what we saw today and what you've shared with us, Delta, greatly is awesome news, man. I'm very, very pleased. So thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome, brother. Finally, Petra, any final comments on all this for today? Go ahead, buddy.
No worries. Just a couple real quickly. First of all, Delta, it's great news what you shared. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm amazed to listen to a gentleman who can talk for 7 minutes and not take a breath. It's got to be a world record. I
used to be a diver.
There you go. No, I think it's fantastic news. It all seems to be coming together in a culmination of education and the fact that they're under curfew, and then what do? They sit and watch TV. What else are they going to do? And they hear a presentation like that informing them of what's coming. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the fact that they're kind of forcing this education on them. I still think they need some time to ask questions and to go in and do their exchange if they want to for the new small category notes when those come out. But no, I think all of this information is great, and I appreciate you sharing that, Delta. Yeah.
Right on. Good deal.
All right. So finally, we appreciate you, Paul and Eminence. Any final thoughts from you, buddy?
No, I'm just smiling today. I just the news today has been so good. I just want to say thank you to Petrus for showing up. I want to say thanks to Frank and the KTFA family. I want to say thank you for your kind friendship. I think that there's a lot of people out there in the world that need a lot of help. I think that there's a lot of people that live their lives for helping, and I'm proud to say that I've been able to meet people that are to help facilitate a wonderful United States of America, and to all those that have helped serve us during this time frame and to get us to the stage that we're at. I think that we all have a patriotism. And I think everybody's, for all those people that have served, there's been Iceman, there's all kinds of different people that have done the honorable thing, and they keep doing that honorable thing. And I would say that what you do, what I do, what Patriots is doing, and Frank's KTFA is doing for people and helping them, I think it's honorable. I think we're in a good shape. I think we're going to be there. And thank you for having me, you guys. I love it. This is great.
Thank you, militiaman, and thank you, Pedro. It's really an honor to have you with us, sir. And appreciate you all, and God bless you all. And now back to you, Frankie.
I want to thank you, the three. Petra, sir, I welcome you. Thank you so much for going through all the effort that it took for you to join us. And Petra, I know that you are very busy, and sometimes you can be with us, sometimes you cannot.
Oh, are you there, Patriots? Okay.
Frankie.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost him. Okay.
No, hold
Hey,
on a
gentlemen,
second.
I have a family.
Huh. Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Thank you, Delta. Thank you, Patriots. Pleasure talking to you again. And we'll catch up with you guys as quick as possible. Thank you very much. Good night.
Huh.
Great.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Delta.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Gosh, what a shame. It turns out that they couldn't hear me, ladies and gentlemen. Before I talk, can you all hear me?
No,
You can't hear me?
no, it's not. You're not even on there, it says.
Oh, my goodness. So we were not even broadcasting. Well,
Yeah,
we were broadcasting on UBTubi, right? Can you hear me on UBTubi, family? Can you hear me? Yes, they can hear me on UBTubi. What a shame that I didn't get a chance to talk to these gentlemen. Oh, what a shame. But, gentlemen, I hope that later on you can find out that I said thank you. And especially to Petra for joining us. I'm very proud of you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Petra is very busy schedule, and there will be times maybe when he will not be able to join us. So it was an honor to have you, sir, and we thank you very much for being with us. God bless you. Eminem, you too, my dear friend, and Delta, thank you. Delta, as you now know, has found that the Iraqi television, that's why we're calling our UB2B Iraqi television talks. He has, and we showed you the video as I was holding it up. He's going to translate it. It's going to take some time. So we'll give him some time to do just that, okay? And every Monday when he can, he will give you more. Maybe by next Monday, he'll give you the whole thing translated. But as you can see, we, once again, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you to the three, and welcome to Petra. Wonderful job, sir. And please join us whenever you can. And when it's only the two, I'll join them and we'll make it the three, depending on how I feel, of course. But very quickly, if you don't mind, if you could give me just maybe 30 more minutes and I'll say goodbye to you. One of the things that I told the three is that if you remember last Monday, it was on a Tuesday, the following day, inside my form, I posted one word. Do you remember what it was? I said minors. And what happened then on the following day, on Wednesday, what did you see posted on our form? The President of the United States of America activated all the mining industries in the United States to start to reactivate, reboot. In other words, start getting ready. Why? Well, because the world, it's nobody's business, but you American miners, you know you have contracts in Iraq, don't you? And when Iraq announces that their Article 8, that they've lifted the value of their currency, you American miners, not you China, you in the back of the line now, suckers. Russia, I know. Don't put Russia, don't rush it. Don't just wait. You're going to get in there. In fact, you guys are, you're doing pretty good, to tell you the truth. You haven't caused any problems. You're not bombing and killing anybody stupidly. So you want to make money, huh? All right. You can take China's place. Would you like that? This whole call is in our opinion. Everything we're saying is strictly my opinion. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. But the following day, after we told you on Tuesday, look, miners, one word. On Wednesday, there is the article. The president has told very strategically. He told the mining industry of the United States of America, fire it up, let's roll, because you're going to enter Iraq and you're going to be the first. You're going to be the first. You see, America's first in everything that we do from now on. You understand? You understand G7, G8, G9, G10. I don't care. All of it. Do you all understand this? Good. Because we're sick and tired of this nonsense of the way you've treated our dollar, the way you've treated our country's, our citizens' taxpayer dollars. We're sick and tired of the way the left it treats you, American citizens. And it's obvious, isn't it, family? And you can see the difference of what Donald Trump has done in 3 years, and then within 1 year, the destruction that they tried to bring forth. It's obvious. And you see what the media is doing. It's obvious. So we're not stupid, and we're not going to implode and give up. No, in fact, very soon, here, these contracts, it's not just the miners. The United States of America will have first in everything in Iraq. The United States economy is about to explode. You that have how many people we have in the United States of America? About 300 million plus. How many of those people do you think in the last 2003, 17 years? It's been that long. 2003. Oh my goodness, how time goes by. With the invention of laptops, after 9/11, 2001, 2, 3. Oh, 3? Hello, what happened? And you found out, didn't you? And you Googled about Kuwait and you found out what the left did, what Clinton did, in the, I'm sorry, God, just one, okay, in the oral room. Stupid. So they this time around, it's with us. It's with us, the conservatives, the Republicans. Oh, did I make it clear that KTFA supports the President of the United States of America? and not anything at all with ABC, MSNBC, especially CNN. That's a communist network news, whatever that is. Come on, let me have some fun, all right? And it's our turn. Hoorah. You see, President Trump is like a chess player. He makes these moves very calculated. Long before the opponent even knows what's going to happen to him. Check? No. You can send a check, but this is checkmate. And what he did is he did a lot of things with Iraq to bring them the freedom they're about to get. My goodness, they have a prime minister. When did you last hear that? About 3 decades ago, huh? My goodness, they dissolved the government pretty much, huh? They stopped the auctions, huh? Everything that we have been dreaming about while Obama was holding you and me hostage. It's our turn now. The 3 years, all the information that's come out, the Mueller report, all that stuff, the Russian collusion, Bolshevik nonsense. It's over. Coronavirus 19, they're going to get the virus, but there's going to be a rebound. Yeah, the virus will take care of that. Or I said virus, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I have problems ever since they knocked me out for all those hours, that anesthesia. Whew. And you know what I mean. They're going to get us a vaccine. We'll be all right. Yeah, our economy is, and how many people do you think have dinars since 17 years ago with all the information that's out there now on the internet? How many Americans do you think of, huh? And you heard what our president said in that interview. Yeah, I think, what was it about? We got 58 billion American dollars worth of dinars in the U.S. Treasury. And nobody asked him, why, Mr. President? I mean, toilet paper is even more valuable than the Iraqi dinar right now. because he makes the chess moves way in advance before even anybody knows what's going on. And by the time it comes around, they get hit hard, either with a blessing or with a rejection of President Trump. He's masterful. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. He's extremely brilliant in what he's doing. And on top of that, in God I trust. And I believe in God he trusts. And that's why I trust the President of the United States so much now. Oh, yeah, he came out with a little rough edges, but God uses sandpaper and smooths us out. Sometimes it's fine sandpaper. Sometimes it's rough, coarse sandpaper. But he roughs out the edges on us. And if you look at the President of the United States of America, I'm proud of you and I trust you, sir. Because, you see, you announced the way ahead. What is it? Space Force? They still don't know, Mr. President. But anyways, we're going to the moon, huh? By the end of your next 4 years, 2024. Well, we need the raw materials, actually not the raw Earth materials to go to the moon to establish a moon base. We need them to go to Mars. And also for some of our weapons, for that matter. The mining industry is about to explode. And may I encourage you to pay close attention. Walking Stick told me, go ahead and tell them. I did, sir. Now go ahead and tell them that they're going to see a lot more about the mining industry for a reason, for our economy. Roger that. Walking Stick also said to us, didn't he? The monetary reform information is going to be flowing down. How? Well, they're going to show them pictures. They did, didn't they? On those flatbed trucks, on those big billboard signs. Hey, Iraqi citizens, get in here. Who you? CBI? What you want? We don't trust you. We want to talk to you about what we're doing with our currency, and we want to show you some coins that we used to have. Remember? Before, because you're going to be dealing with them soon, and the new currency, which I call new small category notes, to differentiate them from the lower denoms, which are actually the ones with the 3 zeros that are still out there. We told you that there would be private banks all around the world, starting where? In the United States of America, 48 states. Okie dokie. They admitted it. All of this is in the final article threads. Get in there. And if I was you, I'd copy every one of those and put them in a book for prosperity's sake. Put it right next to your Bible so your children's, and future generations will understand how it is that they are where they are because of what you did today. You didn't lose faith. Yeah, all of this is in my opinion until it's your opinion. Yeah, we're going to the moon, and we're going past that, Hillary. We're going to put you on Mars if we have to. But for what it's worth, the legal systems will take care of you soon. It's our turn. Walking Stick made it clear to us that the information would be flowing to the citizens, and it's flowing very rapidly right now, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's just as obvious as can be. I'm very proud. I'm very happy to have led you all these years. I told you that I wouldn't cross the bridge with you, didn't I? Yeah. I go to Cleveland Clinic tomorrow. And they say I have cancer. What? Fine, I give up. Well, I don't claim it, but if that's what you want, docs, okay. You want to waste your time and give me chemo? Go ahead. I don't fear it. Although, may I make a statement about that? They're going to introduce me to a Hawaiian guy, chemo something or another, huh? No, I'm a gatherer of information. I always have all my life. I was the guy that sat in the front of the class, you know. I never sat in the back because I just was so hungry. My senior year, I was taking still 17 hours, where everybody was taking 3 hours. They go half the day of school and low fall. I was just always hungry for knowledge, information. It's the only thing they can't take away from me as a minority. And knowledge is powerful when used properly. So I'd like to gather information about chemotherapy. If any of you, now, chemotherapy, it comes in many different forms. And by the way, I'm done with the Iraqi dinar, okay? If you don't want to hear the rest, you can leave, and thank you kindly for being with us. But here's what I'm looking for. If you've ever had chemotherapy directly, for your bladder, because you had cancer in your bladder, in that area, I would appreciate a phone call. Now, if I don't answer, just try to leave me a quick little story, and I'll try to get back with you. But I deal with over 100 calls now a day. And what I want is to know what you went through. Tomorrow they're going to tell me what type of chemo they're going to give me. There's all types, all grades, all forms. I bought this shawl because when I lose my hair, I'm just going to cover my head. It represents Israel, by the way. By the way, for my Israeli friend that told me, hey, we Jewish people, we have blue eyes. What's the matter with you, Frank? I didn't know that. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. You learn something every day. But sincerely, I'd like to learn. Tomorrow they're going to tell me about it. And then probably the next week, they'll start me on it. And I'd just like to know, be prepared. A good student should always study everything he can, So I'm looking for data, empirical data, straight from your heart of what you went through. I don't fear it anymore. I'm going to jump on God's back. You know that beach with that one set of footsteps? That's me and God right now. I'm actually, this may sound a little weird, but I'm not looking forward to it, but I welcome it as the next chapter in my life. 3 months of chemo, 3 months of recovery to rebuild my immune system, and then a 6-hour operation that they told me, well, it's 50-50, Frank, if you make it. Hey, get out of here. I'll take the good 50% of it, okay? Because God's going to get me through it. And when we get through all this, the story I'm going to have, the testimony to honor our Heavenly Father. Oh, man, the demons are jealous. I don't serve them and the false god anymore. I'm not afraid of the darkness. Yeah, I'm going to walk through this valley of the shadow of the death, but I'm going to be holding God's hands, and my family will hold my other hand. It'll be an adventure. It'll be a new chapter, and it'll be something that I will have the taste of the flavor of it. And then one day, I'll be talking about it. In fact, I'm thinking of going on a 50 states circuit where I will give my testimony. I can meet a lot of you, but like I told you, I won't be there probably when this happens. And I told you I'll meet you on the other side. And oh man, I'll be stronger. And again, I'll have this testimony. Like, remember at the beginning of our conference call, I said that I christened myself Frank 26 because I was conceived on the 26th of a month, and I wore that number in my athletic career. I want to show you something. Last night, I was having some problems with some people on our forum. They mean well. They do. They really do. And I don't have any animosity, anger, or hatred to anybody. And it's not like I got to forgive them. There's nothing to forgive. We're all humans. But I'm putting my foot down a lot more. You notice? You see, in one of my episodes in the last 4 weeks since I've had my operation, I got down on my knees and I cried like a baby. I mean, I sobbed. I couldn't catch my breath. I even told God, I said, hold on. But I said, look, if you really want me to lead this KTFA, I welcome it. You know, save me, save my life, and save me spiritually. And if this is the case, I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you my all. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be mad. I love this feeling of love. Gosh, it feels so good. It feels just, yesterday, my two children and, well, our two children, right, Tink?
Yes, our children.
Okay, our children, I'm sorry.
I gave birth to them.
Well, I donated.
Yes. We did a teamwork.
Yes, we did, sweetheart. Under God's guidance and his eyes and blessings. Our two children and our 4 grandchildren, we were out in the backyard out here. We had a wonderful time. And I sat there as the patriarch and my wife as a matriarch, just sitting there watching the events that were occurring around us. There ain't nothing better than family, you know what I mean? It felt just wonderful to know that, I won't show you close up, but this is my pictures of my family here. I mean, look at that. We were all together and just having a wonderful time. I maybe look at here. Look at here. You know this one. You know this one. Look at here. That's my father, right in the middle. And then we got in the car and we all went over to my dad, and he was having a great day. You see, he sleeps for 3 days, and then he wakes up and he's a little bit aware of what's going on. Wow, we surrounded my dad. 3 generations right there. Actually 4 when you. That's all I want. I just want to be happy. I want to be at peace. And I told God, if you really want me to lead KTFA, I ain't asking you to talk to me no more. Because if you've been with me, you remember those 3 days in a row? What was the first one? What was the first? Missionaries. The next day, boom. Remember? Okay. We don't have to repeat this. It's between us. The next day, remember? Water. And the 3 water projects in Iraq. Remember? The next day, remember? The stars and Jesus. I couldn't believe it. I asked him, and the next day I see these things. So last night, I said, Father, if you really want me to take the staff and lead KTFA, I'll go through this next 9 months and I'll get strong again. But I need to be a little bit more disciplined inside of our form. Separate the wheat from the chaff, separate. I mean, because not everybody wants to be with us. And some of those that are with us, they're impatient. They're agitators. They cause problems. And I don't want to fight with them. So you know what I do now? I put them on read only and I send them to God. If you have problems with me, don't and disagree with me about something, don't do that. Just be silent and send me to God. Let God judge us, huh? Let us not judge each other. Let's just love each other. Let's tolerate each other. You can blame me for anything you want. I got no problems with that. I said, God, I'm not asking you to talk to me, right? Seems like we got this new form of communication between me and you. It's kind of solid. It's very moving. You see, I ask him for something and the next day I see it. Yeah. So anyways, last night I said, Father, was I rough on those people? Should I not have put them on read only? Did I say maybe some things I shouldn't have said? But I was trying to be the leader of KTFA, So I said, do me a favor, Father. Let me know. Okay? Let Frank 26 know. Huh? You know, the guy that you put in here at KTFA to lead. So I went to sleep. And I went to sleep, right? No, I don't snore. Do I snore, Tank?
No.
No, I don't snore. Much. And when I woke up, I get a message from a friend of mine in Dubai. And here it is from Dubai. Right there. And I want to show it to you. When I saw this,
Rabbi, I have to share this story with you, and you have to share it to the whole world. These were the words of an old man who came up to my father after one of his classes. He pulled out a piece of paper, and he said, I was in the Holocaust. They took away everything from me. My money, my liberty, my job. And then the worst came when I was brought into Auschwitz, and they stripped away my basic human identity, and they gave me a number. I was no longer a person. I was just a number, like cattle ready to be slaughtered. And I was laying there in the barracks that first night, and I didn't know what to do. And then I looked down at the numbers. I come from a Hasidic home, the old man said. I started adding up the numbers, the numerical value, and I saw that it added up to the number 26, which is the same numerical value as God's name, Yud, Hey, Vav, and a Hey. And I looked down at the number and I realized that God is with me, even here in the gateways of hell. And every single time things got hard for me, I would look down at my number and I said, God, lift me up. And this was the message of this old man. In life, almost everything could be taken away from us, besides one thing. We could lose our money, we could lose our job, we could lose our freedom to be walking around in the streets, and the world could be upside down. Everything is stripped away from us besides one thing. Our own choice, how we want to look at the situation that we're in right now. Are we going to look at it in despair? Or are we going to find God on our arm? Are we going to find Hashem, that He's really taking us through this bitter time, and we're going to make it through on the other side? We're going through difficult times. The entire world is going through difficult times. But this is the time where we look inside and we realize that somehow this is for my good, and we choose to see the good in everything that is going on in our lives.
Okay. I was floored. And I never knew that the number 26 was the Jewish representation of the name of God, Yeshua. And when I read that, I was just stunned. I thought, you do want me to lead, or do you? And my spirit said, there's more. And I was thinking, well, yeah, there's more of our study. Walking sticks got more. No, there's more. What do you mean? So I went to the internet, and here it is right here. In fact, I looked it up. I said, the meaning of 26 biblically. You should Google it yourself. It is long. But one of the things that, and it says that right here, that it is interesting to say that the Hebrew name of God has the number 26 as its numerical value. It is also known that the 26th verse in the Bible is about God's image. And the number 26 represents when God puts the number on you, it's because He wants you to be His leader. Are you kidding me? Yeah, so I got this relationship with God now that it seems like if I ask Him something, He answers it. Okay. I'm not trying to be melodramatic here. It's just that it hit me hard. I'm dealing with something they say I've got, and I totally disagree. But I'm not going to argue with the doctors. I'm going to go ahead and do the chemotherapy. I'm going to get well, and then I'm going to go through that surgery, and I'm going to be in the hospital for 2 months to recover. And by then, you guys will be happy and doing your thing, you know what I mean? But I'll meet you on the other side, okay? I told you this would be the case. I want to thank you all for being with us. And I'm asking you to stay in constant prayer in all the things that you do, family. I want to thank our new transcribinator. What's her name, Jan? Shag Doodle daughter?
Doodle's daughter.
Shang Doodle's daughter is our new transcribinator, transcriber. You did a wonderful job. Walking Stick and I were watching, and we thank you very much. I also want to thank I Obey, who was with us for quite a long time doing that work. Thank you, I Obey, sister in Christ. I also want to thank all of you that have been sending me gifts, flowers. Look what I got today. It's creamy honey. I think from Israel. Is that what?
Yes, that's
From Israel. Wow. Problem is I can't have any sugar of any kind, even this, because what they say I got, I don't like saying the word, it feeds on sugar. No cookies. Can you believe that? No cookies?
You're going to get socks now.
What?
They're going to send socks instead of...
Yeah, you can send socks for real, man, because, they keep blowing them off of me with the three constantly. I don't wear socks. I don't wear shoes. Have you noticed? But anyways, thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your precious cards. I mean, this is an example of one that just... My husband and I don't know, I'm sure you won't mind. Terry and I are praying for your complete healing. Frank, you have been an inspiration to both of us, and we love to watch you. And we enjoy life, and that you love the Lord. Your testimony will impact many around the world. We love you, and we pray for you daily. Yeah. We've gotten so many of your cards, and by the way, I put them together and I pin them up on the wall. I do. Our bedroom, it looks like Christmas time. It's all over the walls. It inspires me. It lifts me. It's my KTFA Christian family, and I appreciate it. And also all these books. Thank you. Thank you. Your flowers, everything. Y'all are just very precious, and I just wanted to make sure you understand how much I appreciate you. That's it. So let me now go into our mission work real quick in about 5 minutes. But please do pray. Tomorrow we go to the oncologist at Cleveland Clinic. That's the best place in the United States, in my opinion. And when I do go through this chemotherapy, they tell me that I'm going to be feeling tired, feeling sick. That something about, what's that guy's name? Ralph. I'm going to meet some guy by the name of Ralph. Okay. So whatever. I'll get through this. But if I don't feel good sometimes, you probably won't see me maybe for a while. But to tell you the truth, it don't matter. My dear brother Walking Stick went through 2 bouts of chemotherapy. He has a tumor in the back of the base of his skull. They can't take it out because of the coronavirus. Isn't that a shame? Yeah, pray for my friend. Pray for our team. Pray for each other. Lift each other, okay? Surround each other with prayer. And I'll give you a report depending on what we find out. I'll tell you what type of chemotherapy I'm going to be on. That way, for those of you that have been on it before, maybe you can give me that heads up of knowing what I have to expect. Maybe you can give me some of the medication that you took to deal with, the side effects of chemotherapy. And yeah, I'm going to lose my hair.
Maybe.
That's all right. That's all right. Because I'm not going to lose my life, and I'm not going to lose my faith in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the light. Family, it tells you in the Bible that the path to heaven, it's narrow. It's a narrow, long, with a light at the end. It says in Revelations that Jesus is a light that just envelops you and just surrounds you with love, and the gravity of the earth is lifted, and you don't feel the weight of evil tempting you. It feels good. It feels good. And listen, while we're on it, I'm a Christian, and I have my ways of believing and interpreting the Bible. We have our pastor, our KTFA pastor, on Thursday, beautiful, beautiful Bible studies. But if you and I disagree on something, again, let's not argue about it. Send it to God. I got about a dozen people that are telling me, Frank, you're going to hell. Really? Why? Because you don't practice the Sabbath. Really? You see, in my opinion, and in a very respectful way, because if you believe in the Sabbath, go for it, knock yourself out, I'll support you. I got nothing against you believing in the Sabbath. But what I got against is you telling me I'm going to hell because I don't believe in the Sabbath. You see, that's religion. And that's where I separate myself from you. Because I can't go through that stress right now. In my opinion, we are saved by grace, not by the law. I can give you about, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 times when the Pharisees, they picked on Jesus. Hey, well, what you doing miracles on the Sabbath? You hypocrite. I am the new law. The law that you're talking about was for Moses and the people at that time. Sure, it applies for you now if you want to. Knock yourself out. But don't you dare think that you're going to get to heaven because of you doing that. You're going to get to heaven because of me. The sacrifice I did on that cross, says Jesus. And that's what kind of separates us. Hey, Jesus, what? How come your apostles are eating that wheat on the Sabbath? Why are you letting them do that? You hypocrite. Don't you remember what David did, with the storehouses? Huh? So, religion is not good for us. Love is good for us. And for those of you that believe in the Sabbath and think that it's, I just can't go with your puritanical point of views, your dogmatic point of views. I just can't. And I'm not going to bow to that. And I'm not going to let you push me in that direction. I will wipe the dust off my sandals and I will turn you to God and go the other way because I don't want to fight no more. I just want to love you. I just want to love you. And by the way, Jesus broke the Sabbath left and right. And he didn't go to hell. Oh, wait a minute, he did, didn't he? For those 3 days. And he put hell in its place, didn't he? And then he went to heaven. Anyways, finally, I'm sorry, we're running 3 minutes over. Our missionary, we're working to see if I can bring you a missionary in What is the name of that city, Jan? Well, we know it's Nepal. You know what? I better not be so specific because that can be dangerous. And that's the problem we're having. Over here in China, we've got this place that they'll kill you. If they know that you're spreading the word of God, they'll send soldiers in there, they'll bring you out, and they'll kill you. This morning I heard about a story in Peru. Yeah, in Peru, where the socialists there, the far leftists, there was a missionary and his son, and they found out. And they went to that village and they brought the missionary and the son out. And the father was begging, please, please don't kill us. Oh, we're not going to kill you, old man. What? We're going to kill your son in front of you. And they did. And that young man died for the purpose of spreading God's word. So the missionaries that we are trying to support, what I'm doing is I'm trying to work with a church that knows about them. And this church gets funds to them privately. So if I'm successful, I'll bring you this this missionary out there. He's established 22 underground churches. I've got like about 30 pictures. They're beautiful. But I dare not show them to you either. I dare not show them to you either. So today, on our board for missionaries, I've decided to introduce you to, it's a radio station. How many of you are familiar with K-Love station, K-Love radio station? This is their mission statement. You can look it up, their beliefs, and how they scripturally back up what they do. They give you their values. These are all the different places where you can find information about this radio station. And K-Love is 24/7. And they do a very good job of teaching the Word of God. And they don't mess around with false religions either. But false religions, you know who you are. You know very well who you are. God did not hide anything from me and give it to somebody else so that he could surprise me and say, hey, by the way, here's more stuff from God. What? No, religion sucks. Here, if you're interested, I'll hold this up. Go ahead, Tink, and release the new thread.
I did.
We now have a new thread inside of ktfois.com. And if you're interested, you can go to that thread, and all this information will be there, these 3 pages that I'm showing you. We are going to support them, my wife and I. We support many different things privately. So tonight, I bring you this this radio station. It's on iHeart. It's a nationally syndicated program. It's kind of like PBS. Hi, PBS. If you'd like to contribute to PBS station for further programs, please send your donations too. I like the public broadcast system. I like Nova. Oh, I love watching Nova programs. But the same thing here. K-Love radio station. So we have it has its own thread now inside of our forum. And as I say goodbye to you now, I'm going to turn this around and we're going to pin our third missionary, which is K-Love. Speaking of love, I love you. I hope that you were well fed. What are we down to? So, we used to be left with about 600 people. There's about close to 800 though. The numbers are growing. And those that want to work with us, after the blessing for God's kingdom, or even now with these missionaries, they're the ones that stick around. And I'm proud of you. We're going to make a difference in this world. God has raked some amazing people and talent to KTFA that right now they're under my wings of protection. And funny enough, when it all happens, I will be under their wing of protection. So y'all take care of each other. And what I'm going to do is say a prayer, and then we're going to have Andy come in and blow the shofar. That shofar is special. That's a KTFA shofar. It's very special. And I'd like to dismiss us, like I said, with a prayer, and thank you all for being with us. And I'll see when I'm with you again, okay? But you'll always find me inside my forum at ktfalways.com. And, I'm inside a premium where we put all of our information now. So let us pray and be dismissed. Andy will say a prayer, and then we're going to turn the camera around, and we're going to pin K Love on our missionary wall, okay? Let's pray. Abba, Heavenly Father, your name is hallowed. Your name is sacred, and I stand on sacred grounds in your throne room. May your kingdom come. May your Son return as it is in heaven right now. I thank you for the food that has nourished me in a physical manner, as I thank you for the word that nourishes me in a spiritual manner. I'm so sorry if I've made anyone angry or sad, if I didn't love someone or forgive someone, or if I didn't forgive their debts, as you forgive me for so much. I want you to be proud. And I pray that the honor and glory was given to you tonight, forever and ever and ever. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, by the Holy Spirit, I pray. Amen. 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 The floor is yours, Andy.
Hey, Frank, I got a little guy who wants to say hi to you. He remembers you from a year or so ago.
Noah? Is that Noah? Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Is that your phone? Yeah, that's you guys' phone. Is that my phone? Oh, for crying. Hold on a second. Really? Hey, go to message and go to message. Go away. Hold on, you guys. I can't believe people are already calling. Unbelievable. Okay. Are you there, Nova?
Noah.
Noah. Are you there, Noah? Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
I miss you. It's good to hear your voice. How old are you now? 6. Are you shaving yet?
Yep.
Are you shaving yet? No?
Shaving yet?
His little brother Wyatt is.
You're not. Well, it's nice to talk to you, son. God bless you, and I want you to be a leader in this world someday. I love you.
Love you. Love you.
I love you too. Bye bye. Hugs and kisses. Oh, that's precious. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Burma.
Yeah, this is the first that we were really could spend any time together since it's happened.
Well, that's beautiful.
All right, I'll make some noise here.
Roger Dodger, go for it.
Sorry.
Tink, we're going to turn it around Amen. Amen. Amen.
That sounds funny, blowing it into a ceiling fan.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Burma.
Thank you, Frank. And we'll talk to you later.
Roger. All righty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we say goodbye to each other here, I'm going to pin K Love. And I think the best thing that I'd like to do is probably just put it right smack in the middle of the middle of the earth somewhat, huh? A little bit here. We're going to go boom. So K Love, we've got our missionary work in India with Pastor Yashu. We have our missionary work in Hawaii with Pastor Eddie. And now we can actually go a little bit further in the sense that K Love radio station goes around the world. Y'all take care of each other, okay? Pray for each other. And whatever you do, always look towards the light, not the darkness. God bless you. Aloha.